All right, welcome to a special edition of the Run.down. I guess I shouldn't call it special because I think
Oh, it's
rightfully
pretty
a lot of
special. It's pretty
yeah.
special. I'll tell you that much. Woo!
Oh man. Um. Well, okay. There's one perspective, that's for sure. The Knicks, if you haven't heard somehow, traded Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and a second round pick for OG Anunoby and Precious Achua. Achua? Does that sound right,
Yes,
Tyrese?
and Malachi Flynn.
Nice. Yeah. Dude, okay. Just 1 second side rant. This is why, like, Homer hives are the funniest thing ever, because if you just read the Malachi Flynn hive, like, you'd be like, oh my God, we're getting a guy with so much potential. And shit, like, maybe we are. Maybe he's going to be the new Deuce for this team, but that's just such a funny throw in. Shit, man. Look, everybody knows how much I love Quickley, and like I was literally called RJ Barrett's last defender last night on the stream, which I don't think is true, by the way. Obviously, he has his own hive, but we're gonna get into the nuts and bolts of this. We're gonna try and get into as many comments as want. This is legitimately the most viewers I think we've ever had live. This is kind of wild, actually. I like look. I appreciate the people who show up to every post game, but yeah, this is crazy. So I don't know, Tyrese. Let's try not to be Ric Flair here. I know you're happy about a certain Nick being gone, but what are your overall thoughts about this?
Um, my overall thoughts is I think the Knicks traded away a potential All-Star caliber player in Emmanuel Quickley. I think the fact that they got back OG Anunoby is very much a saving grace. And I mean that by, like, if you're going to trade quickly, the guy you get back needs to be, like, uberly impactful. And I think OG Anunoby is one of the, I said it last night on postgame, he's one of the 7 best defenders in the league. He was quiet quitting this year, and they still managed to get back somebody who is going to immediately boost the defense. You need this type of player to contend for a championship. You absolutely need this archetype of player. You need somebody who's big, who you can throw on big wings, and who's capable of spacing the floor and doing the little things at a high level. You absolutely need this type of player. The Knicks have gotten this type of player. What I think this also means for the long term is the Knicks did not feel confident in paying Quickley and OG Anunoby, and they made a choice between Quickley and OG Anunoby, and they chose OG Anunoby. Time will tell that's the right decision to make, but you also have to consider the fact that, like, whatever IQ is going to be on the Raptors is different from what he's going to be on the Knicks, because he's going to be the third option most nights next to Brunson and Randall. That's a deeper conversation, but his impact is going to be muted as a result. I think.
Yeah, I just. Oh, I'm sorry. No, finish.
No. You're good. You're good.
So the way I view basketball is that it's all about, at the highest level, it's all about how can you fit in with the best players on the court. Like, this has always been the problem with RJ Barrett. It's that when he's playing with the other best players on the court, his, like you just said about Quickley, sort of in his role, his overall impact is muted, because his best skill, he's not good enough at his best skill right now to justify letting him do his best skill. Like, I saw somebody yesterday say, look at RJ Barrett's stats when he shoots 15 plus times. And like, all of his numbers were still below average compared to the rest of the league. Like, it was like 44, 35, 80 or something. Those were his splits. And those were only when he was in rhythm. Like, the whole point of the tweet was like, oh, get RJ Barrett in rhythm and he gets going. It's like, dude, like, first of all, when other guys are in rhythm, they're doing way better. So like, and then second of all, you have to judge it versus those. Oh, Zach's hopping aboard. You have to judge it versus the other guys shooting 15 plus times. And so this is a way of saying that, like, RJ Barrett, I don't think was ever going to make it work in New York, at least relative to his draft position and relative to what people hoped for him. I think what people are miscounting is he's about to go to a very different paradigm. So, like, we're going to talk about the Quickley of all this, and Tyrese, I know you're his biggest hater, But I think you have to be ready for the fact that like a dude with his pedigree is going to a place that is far more conducive to success for him.
I mean, he's also going home, which is like a big thing.
God
I'm
damn
not
it,
saying
dude.
that to be. I'm not even saying that to be funny. Like I'm saying that like he's going to be back home in Canada. Like that does mean something. Granted, he's like New York was his second home, but like he's going to be back in Canada. That does mean something. So yeah, he could improve. I think within the context of the Raptors, he could improve as well. I think the Raptors are going to be interesting to watch because it's Scotty Barnes is the guy over there. might IQ might make himself the second guy over there, and RJ might just be like, well, you're getting paid, but they still like project to be a dreadful team because that team is a mess. But
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, so the Raptors right now are hanging around the play-in. So they're 12-19, tied with the Hawks, a game out of the play-in. Unless there were injuries or unless they have more trades. Like, let's say they're like, okay, we're fully embracing the youth movement. We're gonna trade Siakam, yada yada. I'd bet on them making the play-in right now.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Sorry. Just like jump in here randomly. I didn't even say I was coming, but I had to pull up and say.
Dude, are you kidding? Look at
an emotional.
Look at that.
I just I got out of bed. I have to do. I'm only gonna stay on for a couple minutes. I got to do a bunch of SNY images of our OG and Quickley, which hurts. But
flexing.
This just came out of nowhere, and it was so like I wish we had like some people who were like insider and reported this or gave me some like time to prepare. And this comes out of nowhere. If this deal was just RJ and a couple more picks for OG and Precious and Malachi, I'm like way happier right now. But Quickley's just one of those guys you have to do everything to keep around for like just as long as you can, and it's hard to. Oh, what? Some people in the chat saying what's up, but I don't know. It's a lot of emotions, and it's hard to even get my thoughts out right now. Jeff, how you feeling?
I mean, look, I'm kind of like sociopathic. Like, I mean, I am an emotional person on some levels, but like my first thought is to always try to view this as rationally as I can and view it from the macro. It does suck really hard. Like, just like you just said, like I could go on a whole soliloquy about Quickley and what the Knicks have not done to Quickley, but the way they've treated him and how he just has continued to overcome the sort of shackles put around him. You know, like year one, he was a rookie, couldn't play him more because he was a rookie, and we needed Elfrid Payton's size at the point of attack. Year two, we got Kemba. Okay, he's getting very few minutes, and then he struggled, halfway through the season with his shot. And then Kemba's out. Okay, well, we got to go to Alec Burks. He has one of the best stretches of his young career up to that point. Okay, well, that's not good enough, and we can't consider Quickley. Time to go get Jalen Brunson. Totally justified move. Brunson's awesome. Quickley goes back to the bench, back to suppressed minutes. People don't remember that. Like, they started that season 10-13, and Quickley was averaging like fewer than 22 minutes a game. All of a sudden, the front office or whatever, Tibbs' job is on the line. Brent Dew Tibbs, what people call him. All of a sudden, Quickley starts getting over 30 minutes a game in that back half of that season. Some of it due with Brunson injury, but I truly believe that they were like finally just like, okay, like when he's on the court, good things happen. And then he comes back into this year after being the six-man a year runner-up, should have won, and he gets a demotion. And through it all, he just continues to help the team win. I said it last night. The updated net swing numbers for this season, he's blowing the rest of the team away. The Knicks only have five of their 9 rotation guys this season are positives in net swing, and Quickley is plus 12.1 per 100. This is the third straight season when by far the most meaningfully positive minutes have come when he's on the court. So to bring it back to what I was talking about with Tyrese before you hopped on, the way I view basketball is what can you do? It's not about what you can do with the ball in your hands or what you can do as the number one option, because like 10 guys in the entire league are good enough to be number one options on a title winning team. It's all about what you can do when you're next to that guy. And I think the thing we've learned about Quickley this season more than any other season is that he's actually at his best when he's in that role. Like he was setting ghost screens for Brunson. He was setting screens for Randall. They were running inverted 1-4 screen and roll last night with Quickley as the screener for Randall, and he was helping create buckets for Randall. Like this is a dude who, when the ball isn't in his hands, is around the top of the league, not for young players, just the entire league in terms of impact returned when the ball isn't in his hands. I think the Knicks majorly discounted how much that's going to hurt not having that around consistently.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that for sure. It's just maximizing Quickley. The way to maximize Quickley is to give him 30 minutes, play in the backcourt next to Brunson, and ultimately like find the pieces that like fit around that. And I've said multiple times, I'm like, I think Quickley can be that third 20-point per game guy in a lineup like that. And I never doubt his impact. And the fact that the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks are selling low as much as the Knicks are like, we want to give him an opportunity. And also we want to keep our assets what they are. Like they have all of their first round picks left. That's huge, which means that there's another trade coming. You don't have to doubt it anymore. There's another trade coming. So Fournier and whatever else they can use, they have another trade in the pipeline. So you really have to consider the fact that like the fact that they kept all of their assets and are going to make another move as a result. You can't just look at it as a vacuum solely 1-to-1. They have another move coming, and it's a matter of like what else is going to be done with the fact that they were able to trade quickly without giving up a first for OG Anunoby.
Yeah, so Knicks Tape's comment here. I don't get punting on IQ just to move on, just to move RJ.
RJ was one of the worst contracts in the league. RJ was one of the worst contracts in the league. Like I said last night he's Minnesota Wiggins, and I meant it for a reason. Like, who wants $107 million of bad offense, bad defense, bad playmaking?
It really comes down to I don't have an answer for that because I agree that given the impact he's returned over the past year and a quarter or whatever, he is one of the worst contracts in the NBA. He's getting paid over 9 figures and he just hasn't been a positive player. I think I'm higher on what he can do in a different paradigm. So I think that has to matter. Like there's no way the Knicks are like, when they're selling RJ to other teams, they're like, well, you're going to play him under the exact same circumstances. The idea is that they're going to use him better. So let's see. I think we just have to be open to whatever happens in this, different paradigm. As far as the Quickley part of it goes, Knicks Tape, when it comes down to Quickley, it really came down to, do they want to give up Quickley or do they want to give up multiple first-round picks? Because my guess is both trades were on the table for the Knicks. Like the Raptors probably valued Quickley to like a first-round pick or a couple first-round picks, and the Knicks ultimately decided that they didn't believe in Quickley long-term next to Brunson. Like they thought that was too small. They didn't view that as a viable backcourt. And so they wanted to hang on to their picks so that when they make the next trade, they have the largest war chest available to them. And believe me, another trade is coming, whether it's this season or it's in the off season.
Yeah, like honestly, for this point, I think the Knicks acknowledging the fact that like we make it bounce in the first round, and the fact that they're able to like, okay, we have the pieces to make other guys fit more now. I think you also have to consider that. Like you have, if your front court is OG, Randall, Mitch, you could fit a lot of guys in that starting 2 spot. They have more size now as a result. Like OG and Anunoby's your backup 4. Hart makes more sense now. Like, I think a lot of the pieces fit now that OG and Anunoby is on the team because his size puts a lot of guys in the position that they can play. Hell, like Rokas might be a thing now. Like they have options. I mean, I don't think Rokas is actually gonna be a thing, but like they have options now and they have flexibility in ways that having RJ in the team doesn't make you have. There's a lot more usage now for the team. Like, what can the team do with more creation? They need more creation. Where are they going to get it from?
One thing I'm curious what you have to say about this, Tyrese, from an X's and O's standpoint. I think we saw a lot of pressure on Jalen Brunson this season. I mentioned it last night, but I'll say it again. When Jalen Brunson plays this season, and I guess I should throw Randall in there too, because Randall's numbers are pretty similar, but Brunson's are a bit more extreme. When Jalen Brunson plays this season, the Knicks' offensive rating is 118.7. When he sits, it's 107.1. For all the crushing that the bench does, and they do, believe me, they just do it in a different way. The Knicks offense fell off a cliff without Brunson and Randall. And we've seen how Tibbs rotates. We've seen how he refuses to stagger. I think the best appeal about Quickley right now is that he helped the Knicks offense just stay afloat. Like, they were putting him in lineups with RJ Barrett, super inefficient, Josh Hart refuses to shoot off the catch, and backup Taj. And Quentin Grimes, who great shooter, but is passive and doesn't do much with the ball in his hands. There was a lot of pressure on Quickley, and he helped keep that offense afloat. Now, all of a sudden, the Knicks basically have one guy who can do stuff with the ball in his hands. Like, and I don't mean that to discount Randall. I mean from like a backup point guard type area. So do you think that Tibbs is going to finally embrace staggering? Because I think now more than ever, the Knicks need to ensure that one of Brunson or Randall is on the court at all times.
Yep, you cannot bench them both, because then you have no offense. You have no creation in your offense. They absolutely need to embrace staggering. And the 9-man rotation was kind of a placebo of that effect. But now it's like you absolutely need one of Brunson and Randall on the court at all times. There is no negotiating, because OG is many things positive. He's not a creator. You cannot tell him, hey, I need you to cook. I need you to take that guy. You see that guy right there, 1-4 flat? Get him. Like, you can't do that with OG Anunoby. He's not that kind of player.
And then remember, we're not just losing Quickley. Like, so they're going to replace him with Deuce. And look, I don't think Deuce is in Quickley's stratosphere, but he's proven that he can impact in certain ways. And if, this is a big if, because we don't know, we never know with Tibbs, if that bench lineup becomes Deuce, Grimes, Hart, Randall, and backup center, I don't know how big the drop off the bench lineup is going to be, because that's going to run. That's gonna run through Randall, and they've got an elite defensive backcourt, or defensive 1 through 3.
Yeah, like the defense of this, like, again, I think Randall is an offensive engine. Like, you have to, like, in the regular season, Randall's an offensive engine. The idea is essentially like they just need another guy who could kind of push them over the top to get, like, go from like a very good offense to like a really good offense, like, or even a great offense. And OG is part of the step of that because he's a plus spacer. But ultimately, like, bench lineups with Randall, and I would probably keep Brunson and OG together instead of like OG and Randall together. But yeah, like, I would absolutely think that a Randall-led bench lineup would cook.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you heard people's what's the fucking word? Like, their hesitance to embrace Randall, to embrace more staggering, it was because the Knicks had this great free-flowing offense with the bench unit that was kind of spearheaded by Quickley. I know he gets a rough rep for being like an over-dribbler, yada, yada. In my opinion, a lot of that is what Tibbs wants him to do. He wants him to keep probing. He wants to keep the dribble alive until something is created, read and react. Well, you can't react if there's nothing to react to. He has to create something to react to. But I do think that at its best, that bench was a free-flowing offense. And people were like, okay, you throw Randall in the mix, all of a sudden that kind of goes away, like, because Randall becomes a sort of heliocentric option, or a system almost. Well, when Deuce, Grimes, and Hart are your 1 through 3 on the court, you need Randall to be a heliocentric offense. So that's going to kind of fix itself.
Yep. In a way, the team is kind of like leading into their identity, which is like, hey, these two guys are all NBA players, and they're going to cook at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, they need a value to offset Archer's contract. Archer's getting $30 million in 26-27, and it's Toronto's responsibility now. Again, like, legitimate question: does RJ start on the Raptors right now? Like, being objective, does he start on the Raptors? I'm not sure.
So it would be funny if they like tried to ease them both in and Quickley and RJ both came off the bench while Dennis Schroeder kept starting. Like that'd be really funny. It would be especially funny to me because Schroeder was on Boston like a year or two ago, right?
Yeah, he was on Boston 2 years ago, and he was on Lakers last year.
So 2 years ago, that was Quickley's second season, right?
Uh-huh.
I have like receipts of Celtics fans telling me that Schroeder's better than Quickley that year, which was like amazing. So it would be funny if the Raptors were like, oh no, actually you're just this super six man. I have to assume Masai's smarter than that, but you know, anything's possible. So let's see. So you got Quickley, let's just assume Quickley starting long term. You've got Barnes and you've got Siakam, you've got Pirtle. Lots of Knicks fans have been asking for RJ to be used as like an oversized two. I feel like that would clamp the spacing a little bit.
You're gonna watch that, and then that offense is not gonna be able to do anything. Like, it's not good. He's not a two. He's a three, and he's a 3-4. But the problem is, like, he's a 3-4, and he's probably gonna be best coming off the bench playing the next two, one of Scotty or Pascal, but not both. If I were the Raptors, I'd start Schroeder and Quickley together. That's some of the best backcourt defense in the league.
And then make Pascal. And then make RJ like a six man.
Yeah.
There's another option that we know the Knicks wouldn't do, but maybe the Raptors would be open to, and that's just going full space switching and having it be Schroeder, Quickley, RJ, Barnes, Siakam.
Yeah, but they have Pirtle and they paid him. They paid Pirtle. Yeah. They're not gonna bench him. Yeah. If it was last year, I think if it was last year, maybe, but like the fact that they traded for Pirtle and they gave him a first round pick when that was that valuable to get him, like I can't see a world where they're like, oh, we're gonna bench Pirtle for RJ Barrett.
Yeah, no, that's probably true. I also can't I can't see a world where they make a trade like this and it's a former number 3 overall pick that they're getting at 23 years old. I can't imagine they're just gonna be like, yeah, we only see you as a bench guy. My guess is they're gonna try to see what he's got.
I mean, but like they have to see him as negative value if they were willing to take IQ and 1 second round pick. That means that OG's Anunoby trade value was like shot. And again, I think we talked about that earlier. I was like, who's gonna trade for this guy now? Like Memphis made their trade for Smart. And the Pelicans aren't really going to make a trade because they can't afford him and then the rest of their contracts. So I cannot see a world where he's like, if he's starting, he gets benched before the end of the year. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Quickley was the asset in that deal.
I just think people are a little bit higher on the idea of RJ Barrett in a vacuum than you are. I think Knicks fans are too focused on what he's doing in New York. I think the role he was asked to play in New York, the spacing, everything was going against RJ's chances to succeed in his own way. And I think if the Raptors are trading for him, it's because they believe in the upside still. In fact, as much as I love Quickley, I think you could actually make an argument that it wouldn't be crazy. It's believable that the Raptors view RJ as the better asset in the deal, even though the impact data doesn't reflect that at all. And again, I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of people who I've heard talk about basketball, like, you know, in those settings. And I mean, fucking Zach Lowe, who's one of the smartest NBA people in the world, called RJ a jack of all trades who's good at everything but not great at anything, like 2 months ago. So like there are still plenty of people who are like believe in the profile and are willing to ignore the on-court results. Chris Bernhard said, so in a vacuum right now, I'm upset about IQ. With you there, buddy. However, you gave up 0 first and have the potential with Fournier's deal to make another big deal. It doesn't stop now. Got to keep going all in. Yeah. This is a great point. We talked about it earlier. Throwing Quickley in the deal keeps the first. The first that Knicks have, any team with a star will want. Not every team with a star is going to want Quickley. As we've seen in New York, he is as good as he is. People don't, for whatever reason, teams, you know, aren't quite there with, oh, he can just play next to any star. I think they will get there, but they're not there yet. having the first for the next deal is probably more valuable to the Knicks than having Quickley. Yeah. To me, Quickley never should have been about being a trade chip. Like, he should have just been a guy who was here forever because he helps you win. But only time will tell with that. What do you think, Tyrese?
True, but like you also have to consider the fact that like once they signed Brunson, Quickley was a trade chip by default. Like, I can convince myself that ultimately Brunson and Randall would work together, or Brunson and Quickley would work together, yeah. But like, it was always going to be one or the other. And once they signed Brunson, like Quickley didn't really have a role. Like, when you have two point guard-esque kind of players, you always end up trading one of them. It always happens. Like, you look across the league, when multiple facilitators happen, it's usually like starting point guard, backup point guard, and then like another offensive helper in the lineup. You never have like two guards who are just running offense because ultimately one of those guards always gets traded. Like, you look at the Mavericks. Do you really think the Mavericks won't trade Kyrie if they can get like a decent return out of it?
I don't love that comparison, if I'm being honest. I just think it's different for a number of reasons. For first and foremost, Quickley, whatever. Like, I'm not comparing him to Kyrie Irving in a vacuum or as a number one option, but Quickley is way better at being a supporting piece to a guy like Luka. Like,
I agree, but I'm saying
like the Mavericks get better if you replace Kyrie with Quickley, based on how Luka plays. Again, if you're starting a team from scratch, you take Kyrie over Quickley. If you have Luka fucking Doncic on your team and he's carrying a 35% usage, and you need somebody who can find ways to impact the game without having the ball in his hands, Quickley is perfect fit. So I don't love that comparison at all because, to be honest, the Mavericks should be looking to trade Kyrie if they're all in on Luka, who they should be, obviously. Like, Kyrie, they're just sort of making it work, and they're making it work because Kyrie's a really good basketball player, but it's a terrible fit. So I don't see him as apples to apples with Quickley at all. Like,
I don't. What I'm saying is essentially, like, my point is essentially like two really good guards who both require the ball and like run offense. Ultimately, one of them always gets moved.
But Quickley doesn't require the ball.
Okay, but like Quickley, Emmanuel Quickley believes himself to be a point guard. Yes or no? And ultimately speaking, yes,
he does. Yes. Okay.
I think yes. It's a circumstance of like, yes, they both can operate without the ball, Quickley more so than Brunson. But ultimately speaking, Emmanuel Quickley wants the chance to run an offense.
He doesn't want to be like a heliocentric.
He doesn't want to be heliocentric, but he wants to run an offense. Like, you look at what Maxi's doing. Like, you don't think he could be Maxi? You don't think he thinks he could be Maxi? Or like
he probably thinks he could be Maxi. I don't think he could be Maxi offensively. I think he can be. I think he can be Maxi from like an overall impact standpoint, but I think Maxi's a more talented offensive player.
Yeah, I agree. But like, if you told me right now Quickley next year is like 22-5 or 22-6, I'd buy that. I think that's
possible. Of course. He did it as a starter with the Knicks.
Yeah, so like I would buy that. He probably does a little bit more too. He could probably be like 23-7 or whatever. But like, because the Knicks, he's gonna be in a system where he passes more.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think what the Knicks are essentially like, it happens across the league. It's like two guards, one of them usually gets traded. Like you saw it. Dame and CJ, they broke that up. Chris Paul and Harden, they broke that up. Like Halliburton and Fox, they broke that up. That's how the league works. There's one guy who runs offense and two guys who runs offense.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just think, I guess this is my bias towards Quickley. I just think he's more special than that. And I think that I don't think he's better than any of those players, but I do think he's better with another ball handler than all of those players. Like Fox and Halliburton weren't going to work because both specifically needed the ball to return their full impact. Like if you take the ball out of their hands, their impact gets mitigated hugely. We've seen now for 3 seasons, when you take the ball out of Quickley's hands, he's still returning huge impact. So it's just different to me.
Yeah, I agree. And IQ OG Shop just made way too much sense for a while now. He's going to ball out there. I never would have had the opportunity here. It's painful, but that's what compromises. OG equals perfect fit. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're building around Brunson and Randall, and they're building around Brunson and Randall, yes, IQ fits. I'd argue OG fits more. because OG is the exact piece you need to play on the wing, defensively and offensively next to those guys. Because again, he doesn't require the ball, but when he gets the ball, he's good with the ball in his hands, or rather, he's good making opportunities up to catch. Like this is what this team does. They drive to the paint, they spray it out, they create opportunities, and OG is capable of like hitting spot up threes. He's capable of taking one dribble to get to the rack, and ultimately speaking, he does that role very well, and he can also play defense. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural because Quickley and RJ, especially because they were homegrown, it's natural to view this through the lens of what we lost. And I hope people, again, there's so many of you here, which is so cool. I hope some of you, when the dust wears off and you're able to just look at this as objectively as possible, you remember the Knicks did get a really good player. He's not an all-star, but he can. The difference between him and RJ Barrett is that he can be a star in the role the Knicks need from that small forward position. And so is it possible that RJ goes to Toronto and is able to do things that Anunoby couldn't? Maybe they need more juice off the bounce. That is possible too. There's another angle to that. But from the Knicks' perspective, with Jalen Brunson as their point guard and Julius Randle as their power forward, they needed something at the small forward position. And RJ Barrett wasn't providing that. He can't. He's been awful shooting. His defense, it's gotten better this year. It's still shaky. The Magic were going at him every single time at the end of last game. In some sessions, he was up to the challenge. There was that one against Paolo. He just got super dusted. Again, I'm just saying they wanted more consistency out of the guy in that role, and OG Anunoby should be able to bring that.
Yeah, again, I'm just 60 true shooting, 59 true shooting, 60 true shooting, 60 true shooting. Career average is 58. And that's what a couple seasons where he was coming off the bench in Toronto and he had 55 and 55. This guy is a big wing 60 true shooting guy who shoots 38% from three for his career. That's essentially what the Knicks wanted RJ Barrett to be. This is the quote unquote year two RJ Barrett on steroids. Defensively and offensively. What the Knicks want him to do is okay, we can give you 13 to 15 shots and you're going to put up 18 points, and that's all we need you to do. Just hit the opportunities that we create for you. We don't need you to dribble. We don't need you to make something shake. We don't need you to call for a screen to get into your bag or whatever. You don't have a bag. We don't need you to have a bag. We just need you to have a briefcase. Just do your job and do it well. That was a bar, by the way. I'm sorry. Don't have a bag. Have a briefcase.
That was you're a bit of a wordsmith, Tyrese. I'm not gonna lie. You're way better at this than me. I'm fucking mumbling and have 7 different thoughts in my head and try and get them all out at once. One day I'll figure it out. Is it Kalo? I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce. But he says the fact that they traded Quick shows that Tibbs is stuck in his old ways. He would rather play Hart, Brunson, and Julius Randle 45 minutes. I agree with this to a certain extent, but I think the important part is he would rather play Hart, assuming Brunson and Randle are out there. Because we've seen Tibbs played Quickley 55 minutes against the Celtics. He saw that happen. We all saw it happen. There was no Brunson, so he believed in Quickley then. It's just the existence of Brunson was always going to cap Quickley's ability to be impactful for this Knicks team in Tibbs' mind. I disagree with that, but I just think it's important to point out the difference there because I do believe to some extent Tibbs did appreciate Quickley and did see him. And I think that if for whatever reason the Knicks weren't able to get Brunson, I think that you would have seen Quickley get the role and the minutes that he got as a starter all 20 games when Brunson was out last season. So I think it has more to do with the surrounding pieces than Quickley himself.
Yep. And apparently Toronto's still looking at trades for Pascal Siakam. So they might fully embrace Scotty at the 4, RJ at the 3, IQ at the 2, and then whatever happens there. I think
Gary Trent Jr. has been terrible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I assume he'll be better. This guy followed up with they signed Taj Gibson and traded Quick. That's so funny. Oh man, people are funny. That's so true too, because
I'm scared about a Levine. Somebody, sorry about that. My bad. Somebody's saying I'm scared about a Levine or DeJounte move. They're getting DeJounte. They're getting DeJounte. I feel very confident in saying they get DeJounte out of this.
You think the Knicks are going to get DeJounte?
Yep.
And you want that to happen?
I don't want it to happen. I think they're going to do it. There was way too much smoke coming out for that to not be like a coincidence. And all of a sudden they're going to trade Quickley for him. They don't need to trade Quickley for him, but like I'm pretty sure right now if you like traded Fournier and Bucks first plus Knicks first, you probably get DeJounte right now. Which means that your assets are still pretty much intact, and now you have like DeJounte Murray as an it's just weird. It's going to be a weird thing. I wouldn't go for DeJounte, but like they need to get another dude, and they probably feel like the market isn't really there for like the guys that they want. But having DeJounte Murray, quote unquote, in the package is probably going to be more name value than Emmanuel Quickley in a package.
Look, I'm going to say, and there is that aspect to consider, like Murray as an asset to flip, and maybe that's what the Knicks will do. But I'll say something that is probably crazy. With Brunson, OG, Randall, and a center at that 2-guard position, I think that both Grimes and DiVincenzo would just be better at that 2-guard than Murray.
I agree, but it's also like they need another creator. They lack creation. They need another creator. I don't think DeJounte's that creator. I don't think DeJounte's that creator.
No. It has nothing to do with DeJounte. Didn't we just trade RJ because we have too much creation?
No, we traded RJ because he stinks.
That's fair. But I thought, yeah.
And I mean,
Murray is shooting 38% from 3 this year. Maybe he's just found it.
I don't think so. But again, like it's kind of hard. Like the money matches up almost perfectly, dude. Like Evan Fournier and 2 firsts for DeJounte Murray. What team is beating that? Honestly, you might even need 2 firsts. You might could use like the fake Bucks first and whatever else, and you could just get DeJounte Murray. I mean,
isn't Mitchell probably the prize?
I don't think
with Mobley out and Garland out. Let's just say the Cavs kind of keep slipping, and they're let's say the Knicks and the. Well,
I don't think they've been slipping.
They're 18 and 14. They're 18 and 14 with a neutral point differential. Like
they're 6th right now. They're above the Knicks in the standings.
That's fine. They're a game above the Pacers for 8th. And again, they're missing Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell's been in and out. Allen just returned. My point is, this isn't crapping on the Cavs. I'm just saying, let's just say they approach the trade deadline and they're in the 6 to 8 range. And like Donovan Mitchell has made it clear he wants to be in New York. If the Knicks just offer, matching salary plus all the first round picks, how do the Cavs not take that? What are they hoping for? Like he's gone. And it would be one thing if they were living up to the preseason hype, they were healthy, and they were, the 3 seed, and they were like, okay, we can win a playoff series. But if they're hovering around the play-in and they're going to lose this guy, and this is their best chance to recoup assets, they've already lost Lauri Markkanen, who's looking like a game-changing all-star. They've lost a ton of picks, and now they're risking losing Donovan Mitchell for nothing, and they're just going to have Mobley, Garland, and no picks. Like, don't they have to trade Mitchell? I don't know. Like, I feel like they have to look at it that way. I don't even see another perspective. What is the opposite perspective? Help me.
I agree. Like, I think they have to trade Mitchell at some point. I think the Nets would probably beat the offer. The Nets need a Mitchell. They have Cam Thomas playing the Mitchell role right now. Like, not even kidding. Cam Thomas is taking 18 shots a game. That's Mitchell's role. That's literally Mitchell's role.
Yeah. No, you're right. But does I know Brooklyn's made a couple trades, so they probably have a war chest too.
They have 3 unprotected Suns pick and an unprotected Mavs pick.
Okay. I'd imagine that the Nets want to hold on to Cam Johnson, right? Like Cam Johnson is one of those guys who I'm not saying he's an all-star, but when you have Donovan Mitchell and Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson's a pretty natural fit.
Yeah, I would probably, if I'm thinking right now, they probably want to keep McCall. They probably want to keep Cam Johnson. I mean, you have the Simmons contract to match salaries, and then you have like Cam Thomas, and you throw in like 2 unprotected first-round picks. Who's beating that deal for Mitchell?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I do think that the Knicks could, in theory, throw Grimes in too.
I wouldn't.
If you're the Cavs and you get all the Knicks picks and Grimes next to Garland, and all of a sudden I don't think
going to value. Like, I don't think you can realistically sell a team on, hey, Mitchell has 1 year of control and he can opt out. You're gonna get 3 unprotected or 4 unprotected first round picks. You maybe get 2.
I don't know. I think the Knicks would just go all in. Yeah, I think they, at this trade deadline, if the Cavs picked up the phone and were like, Mitchell's there, but you gotta come get it. Like, I think it could be as high as 5. Like, they could just be like, because here's the thing, and I talked about this on Hot Hand Theory with XJ the other day. Gobert, all the impact data in Utah actually liked Gobert meaningfully more than Mitchell, but the people who get that and the people who like appreciate that stuff, they're in the minority. The majority of people view Mitchell on a way higher tier than Gobert, and he's younger. So like the Cavs could just be like, hey, this is what the T-Wolves gave up for Gobert. Even if that's a lot, you have to at least match it for this younger, better player. And I don't think the Knicks could just be like, oh, well, here's EPM. Like, I just don't think that's how those conversations work. Even if they do spend a lot of money on analytics, I think at a certain level, if the Cavs are like, you have to view Mitchell as equal to Gobert, the Knicks will throw in 4 or 5 first-round picks, and then you have Grimes, who, whatever you think about Grimes, perfect fit next to Garland. Like, all of a sudden, they've got a starting 5 of Garland, Grimes, Strus, Mobley, Allen, and all the picks again. That's a really good position for the Cavs to be in. It wouldn't shock me if that is a trade that happens.
Also, poor Tag, by the way.
Seriously,
poor Tag. What does he do now?
he's gonna like sell the account, move to South Dakota. Sam and Llama says, did we have to include IQ?
Yes,
we didn't. Okay, we did. You go first, Tyrese.
I'm going to keep saying this because I don't think people understand how bad the RJ contract was. Like, I don't think you guys understand how poorly he reflected around the league. That means that nobody wanted to take that contract with picks. Like, they couldn't even do, like, okay, our big star trade, RJ and 5 picks. I don't think teams would have been interested in that. They'd have to find a third team and then compensate that team. That is what trading quickly means. That means that RJ contract is seen as not just a negative, a double negative. Like, that is bad. So, to the Knicks, they're probably like, okay, do we want to dump RJ for 2 first-round picks? Or do we want to, like, dump RJ and give up Quickley, but we still keep all of our assets in tow? Really, RJ could have gone for expiring salary. If RJ could have gone for expiring salary, he would have been gone for expiring salary. Like, if there was a deal out there where the Knicks could have just dumped RJ, they would have dumped RJ. It's 4 years, $107 million of mid.
I just think that Salmon's perspective is like, how sick are the Knicks going to be if Quickley, as the starting point guard in Toronto, is just all this impact he's given in New York, but across greater minutes. Like,
I agree. Like, they probably know that, like, this deal is going to look like a neutral, if not a slight negative to the Knicks, but they're also like, OG Anunoby fits the team so well and what we want to do that, like, and Brunson is better. So they're probably just like, hey, we have Brunson, we have Randall, and we have whatever third guy we're going to get alongside OG Anunoby. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks are fully in the second apron next year because they're cashing out now. Like, they have to go into this point, so it's a matter of, like, what are the Knicks going to do as a result? So if
I just
they
want
end up
to.
with like Mitchell, Brunson, OG, Randall, center, and then like a bench or whatever, like, are you gonna be like, oh wow, we traded Emmanuel Quickley? Like, they're basically saying the moves that we're gonna make outweigh that.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Ariel Pacheco said just a few minutes ago. He says RJ and IQ were both part of some of the more fun Knicks teams I've ever seen. Toronto gives them a real chance to thrive and potentially take the next steps in their careers. Here's the important part. Seems like they both enjoyed playing in New York, and that should mean something. And I do think that I mean, I think I feel very confident that that's part of what Schwinn's going to talk about when he gets on here. It just feels like such a mercenary trade to take two guys you took in the first round, and like especially Quickley, who has thrived in, limited role, shaky role. Dude has taken every single thing, every single obstacle the Knicks have put in his way. And let's be frank, it was the Knicks putting the obstacles in this guy's way. And he never complained. He never asked for more. He just kept working. And to just cast a dude like that aside just feels a little gross and heartless.
It's a cold world.
Yeah, no, you're right. Let's see. I'm trying to get to as many comments as possible. I will be honest, y'all are doing a great job. There's so many. It's tough to choose one. Let's go with one that Tyrese will appreciate. This is essentially IQ for OG, getting rid of RJ's addition by subtraction.
Bingo.
Oh.
Yeah, it really is just IQ for OG, and maybe RJ Barrett finds some kind of groove. But like, again, I'm gonna keep saying it. The Raptors wanted OG more than they wanted IQ. Otherwise, IQ wouldn't have been in the deal.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that OG was in the role that the Knicks want him to play. Like, and you say he was quiet quitting, but Quickley, I'll say something. I'm not going to say Quickley wasn't quitting, but this year's Quickley was, from an impact perspective, worse than last year's Quickley. And I feel like part of it was, like, if you look at his box scores, they're so different than last season's because it's just so much of his offense is predicated on shooting this season and his points. And I do feel like part of him was like, well, fuck, this well-rounded impact star shit didn't get me paid. They're all just saying I'm nothing but a bench scorer. I guess I'll just be that. And he did it really well. He's 60% true shooting. He's averaging his per 36 numbers are all up. And despite the fact that both Quickley and OG are, for whatever reasons, their impact was a little muted, Quickley has been better than OG. So that has to matter a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But at the same time, I mean, OG is a better fit with Brunson and Randall. So
Josh Hart over me. That would be funny. I'm not going to lie. I guess we can talk about the rotation now that the trade is, well, I guess we know all the parameters of the trade. So
right, and this has to do with that. Giannis LB80 says OG can play the four. That's huge. Like, if OG is just out there to be the starting small forward, and it's only Hart and Randall with those bench units, I'll be really bummed. Like, they gave up Emmanuel Quickley for just a guy who's only going to play small forward next to Randall. They have to. If you're going to trade Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett for OG Anunoby, you have to make it clear to Tibbs that he can't just be a supporting piece in between Brunson and Randall. You have to maximize. You have to maximize his value. The number one way to do that is to emphasize his versatility and give him those backup power forward minutes next to Josh Hart against benches.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention like the ceiling of a Grimes, OG, Hart wing rotation, incredibly high. And you can play all three of them together.
Yeah. And Deuce.
And Deuce.
You could go Deuce, Grimes, Hart, OG, and a center. And it's like, yeah, that's not great on offense, but like, or fuck it. I mean, You have the defense you just said, Grimes, Hart, OG. Just
Brunson,
throw Brunson
Randall.
out there. Just throw Brunson out there with them. Like,
And you have a small ball lineup.
Throw Randall out there with them. Man, is that the Knicks' best lineup right now?
Yes.
With OG.
Yes.
It has to be. It has to be without Mitch, right? Hardenstein's been really good, but
Yeah,
against
but
certain teams, Brunson, Grimes, Hart, OG, Randall.
RG could guard fives.
Yeah,
he guards five. He guards 1 to 5.
Lineup.
And realistically, like the Knicks have like a legitimate small ball lineup now. Legitimate small ball lineup, and the Knicks have not had that in years. So like you have the potential to run realistically Brunson and Randall with your 3 best wing defenders. You have point of attack defense. You have on-ball defense. You have the defense for big wings. Like, it's a super potent lineup, man. Like, and Tibbs is gonna love him. Tibbs is absolutely gonna love a guy like that because he's a defense fiend. So
I mean, that is a huge part in this. That is the unknown. Is how does Tibbs use him? Because we love Josh Hart. We do. Like, Knicks fans should love Josh Hart for the role he's good at playing. I'm sorry, OG Anunoby cannot be used like Josh Hart is. He cannot be starter Josh Hart. Because if that's all he is, then the Knicks lost this trade. They gave up way too much for a role player. He has to be more. That's the simple fact of the matter is you gave up a star package. Treat this fucking guy like a star.
Yeah.
A lot to give up. What's the third piece? Because Brunson, Randall, and OG might be first round bounce next 4 years.
That's not going to be the team. Like, they kept all their first round picks for a reason. They are clearly making another move, whether it be this at the deadline or next year, next year. I could probably still use that for a couple more days. But like, there's another move coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely another move coming. And honestly, like, obviously if the Knicks play the Bucks and the Celtics, that's a different thing. But Brunson, Grimes, OG, Randall, Hardenstein, they'll be able to hang with the other teams. They just will. I want to get to this comment. I'm sorry, Serious B. I'm not taking this out on you. This is something I see all the time. IQ good, but he's too inconsistent. He's not inconsistent. In fact, he's probably the Knicks' most consistent player. And people look at that and think I'm nuts because his shooting historically has been inconsistent. But you know what isn't? Is all the other things he does that add up across a whole season. That is what impact data is reflecting. He is the one player on the Knicks, now on the Raptors, whose shooting doesn't matter. He is consistently impactful in all other areas of the game. If you watch, he is there night in and night out, and that is reflected. Look, in game plus minus, stupid. The Knicks have won Quickley's minutes in 15 of his last 16 games. Every time he's on the court, good things happen. That is literally, you can set your watch to it. There's nothing more consistent than Emmanuel Quickley helping your team win. And so people who are viewing the game through, oh my God, is his shot falling or is his shot not falling? They're not looking at the whole picture. They're missing the forest for the trees. All the other things Quickley does, all the stunts, all the scrambles, all the screens, all the relocations, every small little thing that Quickley does well, he is bringing that night in and night out, and that's what the impact data reflects. Also, like, look at his shooting splits. Like, his shooting's even been consistent recently. So, I mean, he missed that one game against Toronto, and since then he's shooting 53% from the field, 48% from three. I don't know. I actually think, separate from what I just said, he's been he's been very consistent all season. So I guess my pushback not only comes from disagreeing with the sentiment. I don't get Knicks fans' overall perspective about Quickley. It's shocking to me. This is one of the most humble human beings you'll ever see. Came in as the 25th pick. The pick got a D+ on CBS. We got laughed at for this pick. He came in, wasn't even supposed to start his rookie year. Or excuse me, wasn't even supposed to play his rookie year. Tibbs never plays rookies, and this was a guy who was meant to be a project. Forced Tibbs' hand, and all he's done with any role that's been given to him is work his ass off. He's in every post game. He's thanking his teammates. He's thanking God. Like, I do not understand how this guy isn't the most popular player on the Knicks and how there was any divisiveness about him. It's never made any sense to me. I just don't get it. And I think it's going to be one of those cases where we're going to look back in a year, 4 years, and be like, holy shit, we didn't appreciate what we had when he was here.
But we did, and that's what matters. We did.
Yeah. Retro, this is a really good comment. We can't be at the Deuce McBride stage, but we'll be fine this fast.
I mean, like, Deuce is good. Deuce is good. I think we could have. Hell, honestly, does he even play? I don't even think Malachi Flynn plays over Deuce. Malachi Flynn is just there.
I'd be really disappointed if that was the case.
I mean, like,
I think part of this has to be give Deuce a chance.
Yeah, I think Deuce plays over Malachi Flynn. I don't think there's any way in hell that Tom Thibodeau is not going to play Deuce McBride. I mean, Precious 2 is whatever. I don't really care about Precious, but like maybe he'll
get the backup 5 minutes now, though, right?
For now, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if both those guys are probably gone. Both those guys are probably gone at this offseason anyway. I don't think they care about either one of them. It was just there to make the money work and for depth purposes if need be. Yeah, they're not going to run Jaquan. They're not going to run Daquan Jeffries out there, you know. So they could have ran out there though. Dylan Windler. They could have ran Dylan Windler. Free Dylan.
Nick's tape says Tibbs basically ran IQ out of New York, which is a thing.
I don't think Tibbs ran IQ out of New York. I mean, did they maximize him? Absolutely not. IQ wanted out. Tibbs was, I mean, I think we also have to consider like the IQ aspect of this, which is like, did he even want to be here anymore? And I guess you could probably argue that Tibbs has something to do with that. So maybe he did.
Schwinn, welcome to the stage.
Hi, Schwinn. How's your day?
Not great, Bob. Not great. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, I don't want to hear about like, oh, I'm happy to get rid of fucking these hives. Give me a fucking break, dude. Like, you're a fan of the fucking team, right? So like, it's fine if players elicit hives and groups of fans that like them. Like, you can like Tyrese doesn't like RJ Barrett. He's never liked him.
I love him now.
Yeah, well, now you love him. You also loved Emmanuel Quickley. Like, you're like, fans can feel certain ways about players. We don't need to pretend that like, I'm gonna be a Knicks fan forever. Like, I love Emmanuel Quickley. He's literally my favorite Knick ever. And it is like actually a gut punch to trade him for a guy who I personally am just like very unenthused by. Not that he's a bad player, but he's just OG Anunoby, like, cool. But like, what I will say is this: I think this trade, from a very like cold, calculated business like order of operations viewpoint, is probably fine. It's like, that's what it is. It's, hey, RJ Barrett, we paid him because we wanted to like bet on the upside. The upside has not panned out. He's flat out been a negative contract player this year and last year for most of it. And we like, so how can we upgrade on his position? And maybe we don't want to pay Quick what he thinks he's going to get paid or what he will get paid because of stuff. We don't think he can play with Brunson long-term and in enough minutes that it matters, blah, 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 blah. So if we can upgrade on RJ using this player who we're probably not going to keep, or that we probably wouldn't, whatever. We don't need to parse through what exactly it means. By using Quickley and not giving up draft picks, yeah, it makes sense. I get it. But as a fan of the New York Knicks, as a fan of a team who has seemingly never drafted and kept players who are good. Like, first of all, have sucked at drafting players who are worth wanting to keep around forever. And like, to me, it feels pretty soulless right now watching this team. Like, I love Jalen Brunson. I think Julius Randle, we've been praising him throughout a lot of this season after his horrible start. And I think he deserves all the praise he's been getting. I like DiVincenzo. I like Hart. I like these guys. But for me, like, and Mitch obviously is still here. That needs to be said. Mitch and Grimes are still here. I'm sorry. Quentin Grimes does not capture me the way that, look, whatever I think about RJ Barrett had like real fucking moments that I'll remember as a Knick. Quentin Grimes' moment is like hitting free throws at the end of game 1 against Cleveland. Okay.
No, his moment is the one-legged stop against Butler.
Okay, yeah. Like, but it's like, come on. Like, these are not like, he has not had games. Like, he's not had things that like the Knicks put out this series of YouTube highlights for like 2023 of all their players. I tried watching Quentin Grimes, and it's just like a bunch of like very fundamental, good attacking of closeouts, good spot up threes, and I'm just like, this is the most boring like highlight compilation I've ever seen in my life. But like, they don't. I'm sorry, like, he just doesn't resonate with me the way these guys do. Imperfect, flaws, whatever they are. Like, they were players who connected with me in ways that resonate as a fan. And if it's a crime to like not just look at it from like the roster balance and stuff and all this stuff is better now, like, and how can you be upset we kept our picks and all this stuff? Like, I get all that, and it's not wrong. I agree with it when I take my fan cap on, but putting my fan cap on, like, I'm sorry, it hurts. Like, it hurts. That's as simple as that. And I think it's fine for fans. Like, it says something that it hurts. It says that, like, one, the Knicks really made an actual consequential move. They made a move that, like, moves that matter hurt. Moves that matter aren't easy. They don't come at zero cost. They don't come at like, and I'm not just talking about the cost of like bottom line stuff. I'm talking about the cost as fans of like the emotional connection you feel with your team. And like, these guys, Quickley, for me especially, like, you talk about changing the culture, building the program, building a foundation. Like, to me, he was a foundational piece. Like, to me, Emmanuel Quickley should, like, I would have, if they made this deal without giving up Quickley and 2 unprotected picks or something, I'd be like, man, I don't love giving up those picks for OG, but we talked about this yesterday on the post game. I'd have been like, okay, but like, can't deny this makes us a better team today. And, like, it hurts that part of it is gone. Emmanuel Quickley for me. Yeah, like, I again, like, they got Precious. Maybe Precious will be a decent backup 5. I mean, I'm sure he can't be worse than fucking Taj at this point in his career.
And he can shoot. I'm sure Tibbs will emphasize that.
I don't know if he can shoot, but he can shoot. But like, they obviously only give up the Pistons 2nd-round pick as the draft compensation in the deal, which, again, if you're looking at it from like cold, hard bottom line, fucking, if you like, if you love Wall Street traders, like, sure, this is an awesome trade, and like, you can't deny the fucking value, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think me and Jeff might have a different perspective on that, but still, like, I think at the very least, and Tyrese, sorry, I don't mean to not include you, but like, I do think, like, realistically, I can definitely see how this works. Like, this makes them better. And quite honestly, if you want to say losing Quickley hurts because he's undervalued, I think you can make a pretty reasonable argument that trading RJ Barrett out helps, because he's just been a bad player for them for a long time, and he's been a bad fit. And hopefully he goes to Toronto and it's better and cool. Like, I don't know, because they, like, now they have one guy that can shoot on the team. Congrats. Like, Emmanuel Quickley, good job. Like you can shoot on the team, and now like I guess Scotty Barnes can shoot. I still don't really buy that, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
They I mean, I'm not going to act like I watch every Raptors game, so I'll be curious to hear what you guys think about this. I feel like they do a better job of mitigating their lack of shooting gravity to create space better than like any team I've ever seen. Like
I don't watch them enough to feel strongly about it and whatever. But like I'm sorry, like it hurts me as a fan that Emmanuel Quickley's gone. Do I get the trade? Sure, I get it. But I will say this, like, if you want me to like this trade, if you want me to feel good about this trade, go make another fucking move. And they don't get, I'm sorry, like, you can't make this move and then be like, no, like, we got to wait, we got to be patient. You don't fucking get patience now. I'm sorry. Get the fuck out of my face with patience. Like, yeah, you want to talk about roster balance? You got two guys in the team that can create a shot now. That's what you have. You have two guys on the team that can create a shot. Say what you want about RJ Barrett, his inability or ability to create offense. Like he was able to create shots for himself. Quickley was very obviously able to create shots for himself, and he had value as a second creator with Brunson, with Randall. And like OG, for all the things he does well, he sure as shit does not create offense well. That's just not a thing he does. So like I'm just, I get it. I get the trade. I think there's a chance if they make the right moves from here moving forward, that it could end up being a really, really good trade that ultimately is part of the reason they become a contending team. But like the timeline for me has moved up. Like you can't trade for OG, and I'm sorry, like I'm not going to sit here waiting for another year and a half, 2 years, whatever, being like, well, like you got to wait for the right move. You got to wait for the right move. No, you lose. Like you lost that. You played that card now. That time is done. You got to get it. Like you got to make moves, and you got to get somebody that can help this team score the fucking basketball. Like, because they're not like, their offense will probably still be fine because Brunson and Randall can just do stuff. But like, you need to get another creator. And you know what? The DeJounte Murray smoke that we've kind of been hearing makes a lot more sense now. And, is that exactly the move do I know that that's going to work and that's going to be, I will say this. I don't know what the DeJounte Murray trade pick package, whatever that looks like. But if you're telling me quick RJ out, DeJounte Murray, OG Anunoby in, on aggregate today, I would bet the team is better. I would bet that. I don't got to like it. I don't have to fucking like feel some great joy about this as a fan. And again, like I'm just going to say this one last time because it's how I feel. I talked about this last season. I've talked about it a bunch. Like as a fan, I think it's important to feel connection to the team, and how you feel connection to the team varies at various points, right? It's not some like static relationship. I rooted for the Knicks when like our franchise player was Eddie Curry and Stephon Marbury, like I'm going to root for the Knicks now, even though they got rid of my favorite player. Like I'm always going to root for the Knicks, but there's a certain joy at various points that happens. And I genuinely feel like a little bit as a fan, I lost some of that joy today of watching this team because, RJ Barrett, whatever his flaws were, like we've like grown with him. You know what I mean? Like he's been here for a long time. Emmanuel Quickley, again, my favorite player. Like we've seen him grow as a player, and we've seen the Knicks grow with him over that time also, from bad team to okay, now they're a good team. Okay, now they are a second round team. Now and you lose some of that. And in the last 6 months, again, say whatever you want about Obi, but Obi's a guy the Knicks drafted, and like he was here for this transformation of this franchise. And maybe this is part of becoming a serious franchise, right? Where you got to, again, make moves that hurt at a level that are different than just like the moves they've been making that are kind of like margin moves and finding value. You got to make moves that hurt. But like, yeah, like it feels a little soulless, and it feels a little like again, I love Brunson, I love Randall, I love Hart. I don't love Randall. Let's be real. I like Randall. I appreciate Randall, but I'm lying if I tell you I love Randall. Right? Come on, everybody has heard me rant and rave about fucking Julius Randall for long enough to know that love should never be can never be an applicable part of my relationship with Julius Randall. But like, yeah, like I love various guys. I love Josh Hart. I like DiVincenzo. I still like a lot of the guys' team. I love Mitch. Mitch is still here, and I love him in the same way that I loved Quickley. I loved RJ. So that part helps, but he's not playing right now, you know. And I'm just talking about night to night watching this team. Yeah, feels a little like I'm gonna miss that fucking Quickley when he gets hot and he starts prancing around. You can hear the Garden like. He gets into the game and you can hear the fucking excitement in the Garden, right? Like that's gone. And I'm not saying that means like the Garden won't be popping. It's the Garden. It's always going to be popping. But like there's a different energy and stuff. And yeah, that part hurts as a fan. So yeah.
Can I tell you, Schwinn, what's going to become the most annoying part about all this?
People rooting against both players and pointing out their flaws and celebrating when they have bad games.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. But that will be annoying. But basically the same thing on the other end. The whole NBA world is going to understand how good Quickley is now that he's a fucking Raptor.
Oh yeah,
like,
I can't wait.
I can't wait. Like the NBA universe is going to move us to be like, God damn, stop it. Like we're going to be rooting against Quickley because everyone's going to be like, holy shit, this guy's so good. And it's like, yeah, dude, remember when you said Malcolm Brogdon was better?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's good. A step forward isn't always a clear path, but it certainly feels like progress. The team had been stagnant. RJ was stagnant and will miss IQ. I actually very much vibe with this comment. I think it's well said. I echoed Schwinn's thoughts before he hopped on about the sort of mercenary nature of the trade. But I do think objectively in a vacuum, this does signal what Knicks fans had been hoping for. They did this great job drafting. They draft Quickley. They draft Grimes. They reset the books. No bad contracts, really, besides Fournier. And I guess Tyrese would argue RJ. But no killer contracts on the books. And everyone's like, okay, competency is here. But we don't want to just have a high floor. They need to eventually try to take that next step. And this is the signal that the Knicks are trying to take that next step.
I don't understand what my hyperbolic view is, because my view is, as a fan, this sucks, but I totally understand it from a logical, very like business oriented. Like I get the move, I understand it, but like I'm sorry, like they also need to make more moves now. Like you have to go get somebody who can create, and you have to like that's just what it is. Like, and you've got to do it now. Like you don't make this move unless you're trying to like make things happen this season. Like you don't get to just like have this season and like, oh, we'll just see where the chips land and see what happens. Like no, like you've got to really. The pressure is on them, more or less, is what I'm saying. Like the pressure is on them to make this season matter, and make it matter in a way that is not just like, oh well, we got to the playoffs as a top 6 seed, awesome. Like no, make it happen. And look, I think there's something to be said of. It'll be much easier for Tom Thibodeau to keep everybody happy now. That's for damn sure. Like, is not a single person on this team is going to be complaining about minutes or touches or role. So yeah.
Spooky Season Bud says, almost happy for RJ. He wasn't going to thrive with us, but we never got a chance to see how good IQ could be before we sold him for pennies on the dollar. He was already our best plus minus, and maybe could have been our shooting guard alongside Brunson. We'll never know.
You traded for the best wing defender in the league. It's not pennies on the dollar.
That's high praise there for OG Anunoby. You think he's
wing
that
defender in the league? Okay.
OG definitely has to return that. I just want to say that regarding the part about not knowing, to me that's a really important part of this. because I've talked a lot about how, we don't have answers to questions because Thibodeau refuses to ask the question. I've mentioned that for a few years now. And Quickley is the face of that. There's so many what ifs. And it's baffling to me that amidst some of these stretches, they never were even
We got
interested.
Malachi Flynn in the deal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I can't wait to hear about, well, we got him, too. That guy is fucking awful, man.
Yeah, I don't think they got him.
Dude, I said the same thing to open the video. I was like, if you look at the Malachi Flynn hype, we got a backup point guard, but I don't think that's what happened here.
Dude, also, look, here's another part in terms of the soul of the team stuff. Deuce has a chance now. There have been people that are like, oh, Deuce is ready. Deuce needs minutes. Okay.
Earn him.
Yeah, Deuce has minutes now. He's here. So, and the Knicks, and the Knicks talked I remember last year at the deadline, right? There was the Knicks value Deuce. They're not just going to give him away. Okay.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
I think this being
the
first big trade that they've made is now it's put up or shut up time for the front office, for guys that they've invested in. It's now shit are getting off the pot. You're telling me Deuce is this really underrated player and the impact stats do reflect that. Not as much as Quickley does, but small sample size. His agent is Sam Rose. I don't care.
Yeah, no. So I also think the part, just to read the comment. This is from Demorance. The part no one is talking about, Anunoby's being a pending free agent. That's a huge risk. He has big leverage. If you think RJ was overpaid, what is he going to be paid? Philly's sitting there with max space in the championship nucleus. Huge risk aside from talent debate. This is why I think it's imperative that they make a move this season to go get another ball handler, creator.
Donovan Mitchell?
However, it can be Mitchell, whoever it is. They have to go get somebody that balances the roster right now. Because, it makes sense to overpay OG, whatever it is, once you do that. And there's much less risk once you do that. But you can't. I don't know how to put it, but it's a lot different to me because if you start paying OG, let's say you got again, he's right, he has leverage. Sam Rose is his agent. I'm not really worried about them keeping OG, but he's obviously going to get paid. It's harder to make with all the apron stuff. I don't even know the cap ramifications at this point, so we'll see what those are. But you can't. It gets very tricky to make trades, obviously, right? So we'll see. I'm a little apprehensive about this is what they have to make a move now, because it just becomes a lot harder to do it once you pay OG, and they're going to pay OG. You don't make this trade unless you're paying OG. This is the Josh Hart thing, where people are like, oh, well, now they got to pay Josh Hart. It's yeah, dude, I'm again, OG CAA, his agent is Sam Rose. You are fucking bananas. You're bananas if you think that they don't have an understanding or an idea of his market, what it will take, and are comfortable. They made this move because they're comfortable with that.
It's also his son. It's his son. They know his market. Sam Rose absolutely is hey, the Knicks could give you this amount. Or rather, they probably talked about it at Christmas dinner. Legitimately speaking, they probably talked about this at Christmas dinner. And was oh, this is what he's looking for. Okay, we could do that. That's fine. It'll probably be $30 million a year, around that amount. So,
I mean, but this person's right. That's a huge risk. You give OG Anunoby $30 million a year after not paying Quickley. You're opening yourself up to looking very, very stupid.
Yeah, but you know what? Well, actually, no. You know what, Jeff? This will be the double infuriating part of this. You mentioned now that Quickley's on the Raptors, everybody's gonna be oh my god, he's so good, blah blah. How oh my god, this is such a great player. The other infuriating part of this is now that OG is on the Knicks, all of a sudden we will actually hear about the things he's not good at. So that will be annoying. But yes, it's a risk in that sense. I agree with you, but like they're gonna have to take a risk in something with money related, regardless of who it was, right? Like we talked about Lauri Markkanen. Okay, Lauri Markkanen right now is making what, $17 million a year. So like, yeah, it's all well and good to be like Lauri Markkanen, awesome, what a steal, blah blah blah, great player. When if the Knicks had traded a bunch of shit for him, and then they trade, and then they have to pay him a new contract, right? So they give him his max, which is whatever it would be, like fucking $45 million a year, whatever the fuck it is. Like it's the same risk. You're gonna get judged on the dollar. But this is why it's important to go get another real ball handler, whoever it is right now. Like if it's DeJounte Murray, I can't wait to fake pretend I love him now. But like, yeah, no, I've always really appreciated DeJounte Murray's game, actually. But like, if it's DeJounte, it's DeJounte. But like, they have to go get somebody. I just can't, because right now you go into the fucking playoffs with Brunson, Randall, and this is your team. I know they were like, this is the thing I always come back to. They were the best defense in the playoffs last year by defensive rating, if I remember correctly. So like whatever their defensive issues in the regular season and all that stuff, like they were really good even the first year under Tibbs. They did a good job defensively when they got to the playoffs against Atlanta. Their offense has just sucked both years, which again, we can get into maybe why just getting talent isn't necessarily going to fix all that. But like you can't go into a gunfight with a knife, right? Like you need more firepower. I've been harping on this. I was harping on this while we had Quickley and RJ. I was harping on this when we were, a top 10 offense and whatever. Like, you need more firepower, and they definitely need more firepower now. And let me tell you, hey, Mr. Dolan, I don't want to hear. I better not hear a fucking damn thing about like if we go into the summer about like, oh, like Dolan doesn't want to pay this guy because they have to move Hart or DiVincenzo because of luxury tax. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear a fucking thing about luxury tax concerns or any fucking apron or any fucking bullshit like that. The man, first of all, Mr. Dolan has not paid luxury tax since 2014-15. And the Knicks have been pretty much operating on like a pretty good budget since then. And so have the Rangers, just because of the nature of the NHL salary cap, from what I understand. So yeah, like it's go time for everybody in this organization, the front office, the coach, the everybody. It is go time.
I feel like the two names that we've seen the most are Murray and Mitchell. I apologize to who commented on it, but I lost the comment, so I'm just going to echo his thoughts and see what you guys think. Are they going to be thinking about Levine at all for that shooting guard spot?
No.
Cheap, like, I don't know.
I
don't think, because that Levine contract is just, you're not moving it once you get it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the goal here is probably Donovan. DeJounte is like the fake goal, but like the real prize is Donovan. And the prize has been Donovan for the last, 3 years.
And they kept their picks like,
they kept their picks for a reason.
So this is like, if you even going back to the Mitchell trade, right? If we go back to like kind of what was talked about throughout that summer and after the trade was made, it was that it was more or less that they wanted to keep they really prioritized keeping their picks down the line because they wanted to keep the picks so they could make another move later. Well,
that's a move.
Picks. Yeah, you kept your pick. You kept your picks. That was they clearly valued keeping picks over keeping Quickley, which I really disagree with that. But whatever, that's the choice they made. I don't need to agree with their choices. Yeah. That's the choice they made. I don't have to agree with their choices. Their choices just have to end up being fucking right. And I understand the move. Like I get the logic of it. It's not a problem for me. I totally get the logic. I just hate it as a fan of, of Quickley and all that stuff. We don't need to go back down that road. But yeah, like you kept your picks. And in that sense, I think you can call this pretty decent asset management, I think, from that sense. or not pretty decent. You could even call it flat out good asset management. But asset management only matters to ultimately get the player you covet or the type of player you covet. And I don't know who that is, but it's got to be somebody. And it's got to be somebody soon. Again, I hate to keep harping on this, but like, feel very, very strongly about that.
To be clear, Schwinn, do you mean by the trade deadline or by the summer?
No, trade deadline. They don't have. If they don't get anybody by the trade deadline, they punted on the season, as far as I'm concerned. And like, I don't know. I know that people feel like, what are you talking about? They didn't give up any picks. They still have their own pick. I don't think you can trade for OG Anunoby. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, you know, it's okay. They're still a solid team. And look at their net rating. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah.
There's a comment here from Demarance that says, can we stop with Mitchell? A, he's an all for next to Brunson. B, the Knicks do not have packages. Yes, they do. The Knicks have a package to get him. It's like, the package is going to be picks. The package is going to be picks. And the Knicks have picks. The Nets also have picks. But are the Nets in a position to, like, make that move? I think the Nets have the more attractive assets, but it comes down to, like, do the Nets want to trade their assets, or do they kind of want to just, like, toil around for the next couple of years? Because realistically, even if they get Donovan Mitchell, how much better is that team going to be? Like, maybe they're a back half playoff team. I don't think they're going to be that particularly good. If the Knicks get Mitchell, and it kind of feels like this is what it's all been about. It's been about, like, getting Donovan Mitchell and getting Donovan Mitchell on their terms. This is the closest they're going to get to getting Donovan Mitchell on their terms. They were willing to go to 2 unprotected first-round picks. They didn't want to go to 3. You could throw in 2 unprotected first-round picks. You could throw in the Bucks pick. You could throw in matching salary, which is Fournier and Mitch, and it adds up almost perfectly. And you get Donovan Mitchell. So, yeah, like,
the thing is, Tyrese, and this is me agreeing with you. They've made their bed now. Like, a guy like Mitchell is what they have to do, because assuming they pay OG, Brunson, OG, and Randall are locked in, and they're not doing all this to be like, oh, who's a good fitting shooting guard? If they were excited about that, they'd just start Quentin Grimes, and that would be the end of it. No, they're going to go all in with this core. They already are on their way to being all in, and the final piece is a shooting guard. The fit doesn't almost really matter. They're just going to go get the best player they can at that position.
Yep. And I think it's going to be Mitchell. I know we talked about DeJounte earlier. I think it's Mitchell.
But, like, so this, it has, again, that has to happen for deadline. I fully am not on board with any notion of, like, you got to give them time. Fuck that. Fuck giving them time. Like, they made you, once you start, like, it's like a chain reaction almost, right? Like, once you start making this, like, we talked about this a lot over the summer with Boston, where I was like, I get getting Porzingis, but this feels very incomplete. Like, I don't, something is missing here with this roster now. And once they got Drew, I was like, okay, well, unfortunately now this makes
complete sense.
Yeah, this makes a lot more sense. But it had to happen. Like, if they went into the season without Drew and just, like, that was their fucking squad, I'd have been like, get the fuck out of my face. This is bullshit. As if I was a Celtics fan anyway. But, like, and that's where I am with the Knicks, where I'm like, no, like, you don't get to punt season, like, not punting seasons, but you don't get to, like, just have, like, nice seasons now. Now every season, if you don't get to the second round, like, I think this season is a failure. That's how I didn't feel that way before today. I felt like there's scenarios where blah blah blah. Like, you know what I mean? I think now it is a failure if you don't get to the second round.
Yeah, I would agree, because you should realistically have the talent. Like, you made this trade with the idea that you want to be a contender. So now you have to act like a contender. And Mitchell's been the guy. Mitchell has been their guy. Cleveland current player, if he opens him up to the league, you think the best they can do is a garage?
Yes.
More so.
Yes.
Yes. Like, who? Okay.
That's more than they trade. That's arguably more value than they traded for him at the time they traded for him.
They traded Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton.
And Markkanen was not what Markkanen like. Markkanen was
Yes.
just kind of like, oh, he's like had a nice.
And
season.
Colin Sexton was coming over meniscus tear when he was out for the season.
It's the math.
It was
doesn't
the
even work for
picks.
Mitchell.
It was yes, it does. Fournier and Mitch works for Mitchell. Perfectly.
Dude, if they trade Mitch now, man, you talk about soulless. After that fucking Christmas Day segment they had on ESPN with
Like-
him and Butch Stockton, I might have to go to fucking Temple for the first time in forever and like find God.
You might need a cigarette break after that one. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
like, that would be like fucking real. Like that'd be like Killers of the Flower Moon ruthless, bro.
yeah, I agree, but also like the money adds up really well, and realistically, like who's giving them a better deal? Again, I think the only competition is the Nets. Why would the fuck would the Heat make that deal? The Heat don't have the assets.
The Nets also, I don't think they'll make that deal. They wouldn't make that deal in season. That's my guess, though.
They also wouldn't make that deal, period, because like realistically, again, even if you get Donovan Mitchell, where is that team going? Nowhere. That team isn't going anywhere. At least with the Knicks, you could be like, this team legitimately has like contending aspirations. And the Nets can't even trade their own picks. I think the Phoenix picks are more valuable, but the Nets don't even have their own picks. So you're waiting on like another team to be like, hey, is Phoenix going to be bad? I don't know. I mean, like they're bad now, but like you can't predict that far into the future. You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, if you want some really good news, we got Malachi Flynn in the deal. So
I don't give a shit about Malachi Flynn.
Okay, I gotta throw this out there. This is from our good buddy Nemo. Nemo Petiter, how about Mikal Bridges? He's a disappointment for the Nets this season, if I'm correct. Bro, if this team trades for Mikal Bridges now, I'm gonna fucking lose it with like the whole fucking Nova Knicks. I've been like kind of like I think that whole thing is stupid because you've actually gotten good players, and obviously Mikal is a good player. But like, bro, that would be really hard for me to just be like,
The merch would be insane, though.
The what?
The merch would be insane, though. I would love it.
It'd
be like Nova Knicks, and they would absolutely brand the fuck out of it.
I would definitely not be purchasing any of that merchandise. But I'm sure the Villanova alumni and Tyrese will.
Yeah, you know me, Villanova. I love the program. What can I say?
How does the money work? Fournier Grimes equals 20. I mean, if you include, I mean, honestly, you could probably just, I mean, not that they would because it makes no sense to do it. But like, you could just include Hartenstein. I'm pretty sure that makes the money work.
They wouldn't do that. They would probably,
no, they won't. They won't. I'm just saying there are ways to make the money work.
It would be Fournier and Mitchell Robinson.
Also, let's be real. If they traded for Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to be completely honest. The money can work pretty easily if they were just like, you know, it might be Brunson and Hart might be sad, but it would work pretty easily if you're just like, hey, Dante, see you later, buddy. That makes sense.
Work, right? To be fair, yeah, it does.
So I don't.
He would start.
Yeah, and I don't. And you know what? I don't want to hear about any fucking sentimentality now. Get the fuck out of my face with that. If you can trade Quick, you can trade RJ. You can sure shit trade Dante DiVincenzo and Josh fucking Hart. Fuck off.
Yeah, it'd be Dante and like RJ Diacono.
Yeah, RJ Diacono can get the fuck out of here too.
I'd keep Grimes. Can they trade Precious and Malachi at the deadline? It'd be 60 days. Will they have 60 days? Are we 60 days before the deadline?
Actually, no, they won't. Right? It's it's fucking February. There's no shot.
Yeah. So then it would probably have to be RJ Diacono or Sims because they just waived Daquan. So if that deal happens, it'll probably. If that deal is supposed to happen at the deadline, it'd be Fournier, DiVincenzo, and then Archidiakono. And that gives you the money. Or enough of the money.
So here we go. This is from Begley. NYK and Toronto talked framework of OG Anunoby deal when they played at Toronto earlier this month. Knicks closed deal today, landing player on its radar for at least 1 year. There was concern about re-signing Quickley because of other players New York Knicks hope to re-sign. So that's specifically, obviously, Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, so they're bringing back Hartenstein. Also, apparently, in that there's a J.K. Fisher report, and the initials, it said Anunoby held meetings with several agencies this past offseason, telling potential representation he was interested in a larger offensive role that would be commensurate with a salary figure in the ballpark of $40 million in average annual value. However, Anunoby did leave those potential agents with the impression he would be willing to accept a smaller figure if he were to have to land it in New York. He wasn't getting $40 million anyway, but it's like, I think he wanted New York. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted New York because Sam Rose is his agent.
CAA Mafia. Look, it's what it is. They're gonna resign. They're gonna resign him. You don't make deals like this unless you're gonna resign the guy, and it doesn't matter what the price point is. Like, you're gonna do it. It was like when the Blazers traded for Jeremy Grant, they were always gonna resign Jeremy Grant. There was no doubt about it. It didn't matter that he was a free agent. You're gonna bring him back. And honestly, this is the major thing. The only team with cap space that would actually be interested in Anunoby is Philly, right? Like,
and Philly would probably go after like Siakam first.
Would they?
If Siakam, I mean, like they need a third guy, I'd argue. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's what it is. I don't know if any people feel free to ask questions. We'll definitely answer them. God knows I'm nothing else to do.
I mean, I again, this is just an example of me being not as good as Sam is at this. There's tons of comments. I'll start moving it around. Sam says, Schwinn, get your IQ Hive passport out, man. Let's go. What's he?
There was a tweet.
What's he talking about?
I don't really want to reference it because I don't think it's appropriate. But yeah, yes.
Okay. Derek says no team going from having Emmanuel Quickley to not having Emmanuel Quickley has better roster balance. That's
I get what he's saying. And that's another reason why I think they need to make a move. Like, they can't. Your roster balance right now is not what it was. I think there's a severe underappreciation for the value Quickley had in connecting different lineups, regardless of what his size was. I don't care about his size. You can keep telling about his size. That's not what balance is. Not just about having guys that are certain heights. Okay, like, I know that's what Tom Thibodeau believes that balance is, but that's not what balance is. Balance is about having guys that have complementary skill sets that optimize lineups. And OG does things that can help towards that. And Quickley did a lot of things that help towards that. I am a little less skeptical, or I'm a little less. I think it is kind of bad that we're not talking about RJ, because, like, if RJ has a chance to get his career back onto, like, the trajectory that we would have all hoped for it to be, obviously when you draft a player third overall, Toronto's a really good opportunity for him. And also, by the way, Toronto is 100% trading Siakam.
Yeah, they are. They already came out with a report that's like Toronto is still looking to move Siakam. He goes to the Pacers, I believe.
Maybe he'll go there before today's game and we can have a showdown of undermanned teams.
That'd be great. I would love that. I mean, Knicks probably still win this game, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I feel really bad.
Maybe the Pacers. Maybe Obi's in the trade for Siakam. Reunite the big three.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
Big three.
I mean, to make IQ happy.
That would legitimately be like one of the funniest things ever. Oh man. Collateral damage, IQ hurts, but we need to keep moving forward. RJ's performance with his bad contract puts you in a spot. If you want to move forward, you'll have collateral damage.
Yeah, I don't even know how to read this because his name is in, like, Cyrillic or something. I don't know what that is. I'm not. I please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what language that is written in. But, like, I agree. But, like, collateral damage hurts. Like, it's okay to just be hurt. Like I'm not saying that you're, and I'm not trying to come at you because you've been leaving really good comments this entire time. But like I've had a lot of people telling me I'm being emotional, and I'm like, yes, correct. Like
You should be.
yeah, like I don't. It's not a big secret. I love.
You just traded 2 homegrown players. You should be emotional.
Yeah, I am emotional. I love look. Quickley's literally my favorite Nick, so of course I'm emotional about it. But like,
I have a Quickley jersey. What do I do with this now?
keep it.
Yeah, but it won't feel the same.
I have a Marbury jersey. And
I mean, that's different.
Is that different? It is different because I did not love him. But yeah.
Kenny says, my question last night of swapping RJ and Grimes for OG and Caruso looks more realistic now, though I'm sure they will be shooting much higher than Caruso. Patience is over. Use the first round picks.
Yeah, they're going to.
I mean, Ian Begley just reported that he would be surprised if the Knicks were done. And Ian is easily the best in the Knicks beat. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the correlation between Ian reporting something and like I feel like he plays it pretty close to the vest. When he reports something, it's there's a basis of truth to it. And yes, I realize that's not holding reporters to the highest bar, but or the highest standard. But I'm he's
if
one
it's
of
not
the few
Chris
that
Christian, I'm not listening to it. Shouts to Chris.
Man, that was some Chris erasure. I apologize, Chris. He is one of the good ones. Chris erasure. I shouldn't be doing that. What else we got? Upgrading the starters' defense makes no sense without Mitch. Well, I mean, there's more than just this season, and if anything, bringing in a guy who can impact the defense immediately helps mitigate the loss of Mitch. So I think it does actually make sense. I think you got also Hartenstein's defense has been really good. I think that's something that I know the starters have not been good, but I don't know how many Knicks fans would believe this, but Hartenstein has played 31 out of 31 games, is 8th in the entire NBA in defensive EPM. He's in the 98th percentile. His defense has been excellent this season. So I think Mitch's loss is being felt much more on the offensive glass. We've lost Schwinn, your memory for this shit is excellent. We've lost the offensive rebound or the rebounding battle for, I don't know, 3 or 4 straight games now. Like we've been out rebounded more than we've out rebounded the other team without Mitch. So, do either of you guys know what OG is like as a rebounder? Like, I know it's not hard to be better than RJ, but is he a good rebounder at all?
He's a good offensive rebounder. Defensively, he's like,
Good Schwinn eye roll.
Me and Schwinn are going to disagree a lot on OG, and that's okay.
OG Anunoby is literally the most boring player of all time.
We need the fundamentals. Look at Todd Gibson.
Yeah. All right.
The fundamentals matter.
Do they? Because
Yes,
apparently
they
it didn't matter. It didn't matter when Emmanuel Quickley was executing fundamentals.
Okay. A noble sacrifice for the cause. I'm just kidding. I hate it.
Yeah, OG's not helping us with rebounding. David Goodman, I haven't been this angry about a Knicks trade since they traded Rod Strickland. I don't remember this trade because look, hey Tyrese, guess this. You're going to hear something that you've never heard me say before. I was too young to remember this trade happening.
Oh my God, you were around when Jesus was.
Yeah, but it is, looking back, that trade probably cost the Knicks a championship. So hopefully this doesn't feel that way 10 years from now. But hey, David, you were right. So hey, shout out to you. But yeah, I don't understand what is this about. So the roller coaster of RJ is fun. I don't know what this is in reference. Maybe this is a conversation that's happening in the chat. I don't know. No, I was very frustrated with RJ. This is a comment about me saying that he's fun, but like it's just like, yeah. Look, I can't tell you or any fan how to feel. I'm just explaining how I feel, and like for me as a fan, as frustrating as RJ was, like I was invested in him in a way that I think, for me, again, just for me, that I really only feel that invested in players that like you see develop and you draft, develop, all that stuff. You know, like I love Brunson, obviously, but that's just a different thing for me. Like it's a different kind of relationship I have with the fan as a player. You said OG is boring. OG can be boring and RJ can be frustrating. I don't think both of those are not mutually exclusive things. OG is very boring to me. I've said this forever, and I've also been saying forever that RJ is very, very frustrating. So yes, like anyway, like that's just what it is. But yeah, like OG can be boring, and then I can still sit here in a year and maybe be like, man, without OG Anunoby, we don't win this game tonight, you know? So all these things can be true. OG Anunoby will definitely help them in certain ways that neither Quickley or RJ were capable of. But I also think that there are things, very specifically Quick more than RJ, that things that Quickley provided that really RJ never, or not RJ, OG never will.
Also, I must add the fact that this happened on LeBron's birthday, so thank you, LeBron.
That was a pretty good meme that was going on last night. Like all the people are like, "Oh shit, it's LeBron's birthday tomorrow. Got to buy my suit and stuff like that." Like,
did you see that he's questionable tonight with a non-COVID illness?
Yeah,
buddy.
He deserves it.
Good for him. Turning 39, you only do that once.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's probably just like, look, take the L tonight. I'll get you one back like in a month. Don't worry.
Yeah. Man, the Raptors are only 3.5 point favorites tonight against the Pistons.
They're losing tonight, by the way. They're absolutely losing tonight.
This from Hug Life. The front office didn't want to pay a market value and let Tibbs limit him. Ultimately, the front office is more aligned with Tibbs on IQ than us, right? I guess I always think the frame it, like, not that you're doing it. I just think this is a weird conversation to have because they could not agree with Tibbs on what Quickley is as a player, but they could also be like, well, we have Brunson, so we can afford to use Quickley as a piece to go get this other thing that we need. And I don't love that because I think that it undervalues what Quickley gives you in terms of the different roles he can play. And I'm going to be really, really annoyed that all of a sudden that gets a lot of exposure and it is highlighted endlessly when he plays for the Raptors and is playing on and off ball next to Scotty fucking Barnes, who is another winner of this trade, which cuts me to my core. But yeah, if that's, I don't think it's not wrong to necessarily view it that way. I just think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but who cares? At the end of the day, they move quick. They got OG Anunoby, and I said this. The trade to me basically boiled down to they used Quickley as the cost, like we talked about. Oh, you're gonna have to trade RJ plus picks to get an upgrade, right? That's what we've been talking about forever. They basically went ahead and said, instead of using picks, we're gonna use Quick as the guy to make taking RJ's contract palatable to the team that's giving us the piece we want, which is OG Anunoby. And that was the cost of doing business, and that's what they did. So yeah.
Yeah. OG is an upgrade over RJ, but Flynn is a pretty big downgrade from Quick. I love that comparison. Yeah, dude, if Flynn's even in the rotation, I'll be
if Flynn's in the rotation, I'm gonna fucking like if Flynn is playing real minutes for the New York Knicks, like I'm out on this entire the whole fucking organization if that happens, because Jesus, man, that guy is a disaster.
Deuce is better. Just play Deuce.
Dude, play fucking Grimes at point. I don't give a shit. Play anybody but Malcolm Flynn.
DiVincenzo, like, does Precious get minutes at backup 5? Yeah. He's better than Taj.
Does Precious get minutes? Yes. He will be the Knicks backup center over Taj Gibson.
Maybe we get that Miami juice back. I don't know. Maybe he starts shooting better with us. Like, I don't really care, but I mean, he's a warm body at the 5 spot.
The only remaining players it's a homecoming. The only remaining players from the 2021 playoff season are Randall, Mitch, and Taj. Yeah, I mean, this is what Schwinn's talking about. He's like, it really felt like the Knicks had stability and roster continuity, and that's part of being a fan. You know, like of course you stick with the jersey on the front, but you know, you look across the league, the most successful teams do have that continuity. And so that's why there is, we can sit here and view this as objectively and rationally as we want, but there is an emotional element to it. And to ignore that is pretty.
I mean,
I don't have
bro,
a better
I've been a fucking fan of this team since, like, literally since fucking John Starks got a shit blocked by a Hakeem Olajuwon in Game 6. All right, like, so I've seen some really awesome times that people like Tyrese were not even born for and has never experienced in his fandom of this team. And I've seen some fucking horrible, horrible shit. And guess what? I've been a fan through all that. I talked myself into fucking Eddie Curry and Jerome James. I've talked myself into fucking, fucking Al Harrington is going to actually lead us to the playoffs for real, bro. Like, I've talked myself into much worse shit than this. Like, I just don't understand this idea that, like, just because fans are like, you know what's going to happen? Every fucking fan that, like, loved Quick or loved RJ or whatever, they're still going to be Knicks fans, dude. They're still going to be Knicks fans. This idea that nobody's going to stop being a fan. No, like, literally, the amount of people, this never happens. This never happened. Do you remember? Oh my God, the Nets got Kyrie, KD, and fucking and Harden. Like, the Knicks struck out. Like, everybody's going to become a Nets fan. What happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing's going to happen. Everybody's still going to be a Knicks fan. So it's okay for people to be upset about players getting traded and having feelings about that. Like, it's not a big deal. Okay, this is from El Faro. Forget IQ for a minute. Can you discuss how, I'm assuming it means OG over RJ changes our ceiling against Boston and Bucks? I'll be honest, like, I don't think this changes our ceiling as a team until we address the additional creator piece. Like, I mean, just go back and watch the game against Milwaukee on Christmas, right? Quickley was vital in that game. He was absolutely vital to us winning that game. And you don't have a guy that can really do that now off the bench, which is huge. And, I mean, RJ had a good game, which, like, that's part of it. Like, I mean, I guess you could say OG is capable of scoring 22 on whatever the hell RJ shot in that game, 8 of 15 or something, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, I get, if the point is, like, they're a consequential move from having their ceiling against those teams be different, agreed. I agree with that. But they still haven't made that move, and that's a big deal. But yes, you're right. They're more equipped to play a team like Boston than they were yesterday. And by the way, I don't want to hear fucking any reason why Tibbs can never go 5 out anymore. I never want to hear it.
Yep, we talked about it earlier.
Don't want to hear it.
Earlier. Like, their best lineup is Brunson, Grimes, Hart, OG, Randall. That's their best lineup.
Yep. Yeah, like,
Jeff, you're muted.
I was just saying that OG at the 4 gives you something that the Knicks have never had next to Randall in those small lineups. So, like, you have to be willing to try those.
Wow, this OB erasure is crazy.
He deserves it.
Yeah, but yeah, like, I totally agree with the point he's making. It's hard for me to get there right now because I still, like, I don't think this team is. I actually think there's a chance if they did nothing for the rest of the year, this is the team. I think there's a chance they're worse today than they were yesterday, because I do think losing that much shot creation is a problem. Whatever you think of RJ's shot creation, but Quickley was really good. He's at probably what, like 59 plus true shooting right
60,
now for the year.
He's at 60.
Yeah. And he's probably shooting. I think he's probably shooting 40% from 3 now. So,
Yes.
Yeah. So OG is not a 4 wishful thinking. I agree with this only in the sense of he is not going to be the 4 that makes your you have to accommodate for the fact that your rebound, he's not a great defensive rebounder. So you need to get the rebounding from other positions. So what OG at the 4 will allow you to do, though, is probably play DiVincenzo at the 2 and Hart at the 3, and you would hope that those 2 plus Randall and Brunson's been pretty good at rebounding this year. That those guys will make up for it. But I agree. Like, he's not a perfect small ball 4, but he is a better small ball 4 than they've had forever.
If the goal is to trade for Mitchell, is Grimes plus picks really good enough for Cleveland? I don't even think you need to include Grimes. I think the Knicks could get Mitchell without Grimes. because the whole thing is Cleveland at that point is just like, we are going to lose him for it, and we're going to lose him anyway, and nobody else is going to make the pick call. The picks are going to be more intriguing to Cleveland than anything. So,
yeah, I think Mitchell is going to be the piece. I would be surprised if it's Murray. And I said earlier before Schwinn hopped on, if you're Cleveland and the season keeps going this way, again, they're not bad, but they're just not as good as they'd hope they'd be, part of it due to injury. I don't see how you can't at least think about it from the perspective of, are we really going to, we gave away all these picks for Mitchell. Are we really going to lose him for nothing? And just, that's it. Like, I think they have to think about that unless they have a huge turnaround.
they would lose him for nothing, and the Knicks would probably end up getting him anyway. So like,
how would they get him without trading for him?
I mean, you'd probably find a way to trade for him. My thing is just like, he's not resigning there, and the smoke has been like on fire for the last 2 years. Like, he didn't want to go to the Cavs. It was very obvious he didn't want to go to the Cavs, and all the reporting is like, when he gets the chance, he's leaving. This team isn't winning in the playoffs as currently constructed. They don't have enough shooting. They don't have enough offense, realistically. And they've been significantly worse defensively this year compared to last year. Now, I have questions about Mitchell being that guy. I don't think he is that guy. I don't think he is capable of being that guy, and the playoffs have been up and down for him, especially the last 2 years. Like, he's shooting 34% from three. I don't really have a lot of faith in him being that guy. But, I mean, if it costs you 2 unprotected first-round picks, the Knicks can afford that. You throw in the Bucks pick if you want to be fancy with it, and you go get him.
This is an interesting perspective. Has it ever occurred to anyone that the Knicks haven't moved the picks yet? Is because they are not highly valued. The Knicks are a playoff team. Their own picks in the few years are likely to be at best late teens. Dallas pick is this year low 20s in a bad draft. Milwaukee next year is late 20s, and Detroit and Washington might not convert at all. I mean,
unprotected picks are never going to be not highly valued. I'm sorry.
I still don't believe that the Knicks are viewed like, I think they're considered a good team right now. I don't think there's still the belief in them as a institution that you wouldn't like to bet on Dolaning by like 2027, 2029, 2030, 2031, stuff like that. I think the reason they haven't moved the picks yet is they just haven't. Who like this? So and this is a question for everybody in the chat, and obviously for Jeff and Sam. Who were you going to trade the picks for? Since Mitchell got traded, who would you have traded the picks for?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't personally see anybody, but I'm curious if there's like somebody like who, like Harden this offseason? Like I don't know. I think it's kind of weird to pretend.
The one name for me, and I know he didn't end up getting traded, so maybe it's a disingenuous answer to your question, but is Paul George.
Yeah.
Like, all the reports are that Paul George was there to get, and the Knicks didn't want to give up as much.
Yeah, this is actually a good one, Drew. Like, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you make the Anunoby move in the summer, and then you could do Drew, like, I think you feel better about this team. Not just better about this team, like, one, Boston would be worse because you would have Drew. And two, that team is a contender, 100%. And me and Tyrese would get to pretend that we believe in Drew in the playoffs.
Oh, I would be nasty backpedaling. Oh, I never said anything bad about Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday. What do you mean? He deserved to be an All-Star last year.
What creators would you want off the bench? I don't know. And I don't know. I don't even necessarily think you mean it this way, but like, I don't think that's the way to view it because we can just stagger lineups. What I really want now is you need another star creator. That you need another star creator. And if it's Mitchell, fine. If it's fucking DeJounte Murray to cut price deal, cool. But you have, I would say this, I think there's a chance they get Murray now because they can't get Mitchell now because Cleveland won't trade him in season. And then they use Murray to then get Mitchell in the offseason. I think that's very possible. And the answer to the creator thing, sorry, I didn't mean to not answer this. It's just that I think that you get a guy who can start, and then you put, you stagger lineups so that guy kind of plays with the bench, or Brunson plays with the bench, or whatever. And look, if you, this is the upshot of this deal, for people that are like myself who are, like losing homegrown guys suck. Quentin Grimes has a massive opportunity now. Like a shit ton of minutes just cleared up, and he's gonna have plenty of opportunity. And that's even if or when they make the star trade. I think this is a pretty big vote of confidence in Quentin Grimes, by the way. I know that,
you said it earlier, Schwinn. There's no roadblock for anybody anymore. Like, look at every position. The point guard is Brunson and whoever spells Brunson for 10 to 12 minutes a night. Shooting guard is 100% DiVincenzo Grimes. Small forward is 100% Hart and OG Anunoby. Power forward is 100% Randall and either OG or Hart. Center is Hartenstein and Precious. Like, one thing we haven't talked about in the 2 hours we've been on the stream is, once again, for the third time in 3 years, the front office has made Tom Thibodeau's life very easy because they are masking his weaknesses again. Like, he is basically unable or unwilling, I don't know which word it is, to be versatile with his rotations, play players across multiple positions, to be creative with his rotations in getting more guys more minutes in different roles to try to maximize the ceiling. That's doesn't matter anymore. The ceiling is reachable by just playing guys in one role, one position like Tibbs likes. And it's on the players now to go get it.
Anything else? I mean, honestly, I feel like we're going to end up being here till like fucking 4 or something. Does this we did a fucking 2.5 hour live stream yesterday, by the way, which is unbelievable. Our post game. This from Martin B. Does this trade put pressure on Tibbs to use his brain more in rotations? Can't see him playing OGs anything other than the RJ role. I kind of think it's easy for him, like as Jeff just said. Like it's easy. He always gets a lot out of his team when they're undermanned. And it's because he just is like, oh, I have these 7 guys that are good. They're going to play all the minutes. And that's all it is.
Yep. Yeah, Tom Thibodeau is best when it's a weird thing where it's like he's best when he's not having to think as much. And with this team, he does not have to think as much. It's, oh, these guys play these roles, so play these guys.
Yep. And now he can – everybody is kind of in their ideal role. So it'll be interesting to see. Will OG be available by the Minnesota game Monday, assuming the trade goes through?
Apparently so. That's what Katz is saying.
Yeah. And I mean, the Knicks have enough to win this game tonight against Indiana. Like, that's a good thing about depth. You know, they had 10th or 11th man Deuce McBride who can give you 10 minutes a night. Like, I'm sure it'll be a weird viewing experience. But yeah, go on, Terry. Sorry.
I think he could give you 15. Like, I think Deuce can spell Brunson enough for regular season basketball. For playoff basketball, I am more skeptical. But for regular season basketball, can Deuce play 15 minutes a night? We saw it last year. Yes, he can. And he's going to be in a role where he gets to shoot the ball off the dribble, which has been his thing. He's struggled shooting off the catch. Off the dribble has not been a problem for him. So I'm interested to see how Deuce looks. And honestly, like, he's playing for a contract. It'll be significantly lower than Quickley's. So there's a chance where you could get like a legitimate rotation guard out of Deuce. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I guess my perspective, Tyrese, came from the fact that he wasn't even giving Quickley more than 12 non-Brunson minutes a night. I can't imagine he's going to give Deuce more.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I think Deuce has a chance to show out, and I think Deuce would be good. If Deuce could just give me like average point guard production, this team looks promising.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to balance. I mean, we're just going over it. I mean, David Goodman takes, he says Knicks are run by complete idiots. I'm so pissed. They could have had their Clyde Pearl backcourt. Like, that's what I like. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but it's so hard to balance the emotional aspect of this with the pure value perspective. And like
the
Schwinn
other
was
part
saying,
sorry, no, finish. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like Schwinn was saying earlier, if there's a second move to be made, this deal can't even fully be judged until the final team is complete.
Yeah,
and the final thing about this, and look, I agree with I don't know about Clyde Pearl's 2 Hall of Famers that led the Knicks to a championship. I also wasn't alive for it, so who the fuck knows? But this is the thing that I will always come back to. I know there are people that think it's ludicrous and it doesn't make any sense. The Knicks never gave Quickley an actual chance to start, ever. They never did it for 3.5 years. And I think that was a fuck up. I think it has a chance to seriously backfire on them. And more than anything, it's whether it backfires on them or they end up being geniuses, it's the fact that you never gave it a look and you never got that sample size. And that's a fuck up. To me, that's just that's bad roster and asset management where you're not trying things. Like, yeah, you know why we were all frustrated with RJ Barrett at a certain point? Because we were like, we've seen this for 5 years. We know what this is. Let's at least see RJ off the bench. Let's see RJ at the 4. Let's see RJ in something else. Let's see RJ at another team, right? Let's see RJ in something else that's not starting wing for the New York Knicks next to Randall, a rim rolling 5, X point guard, and X low usage floor spacing wing. Like, we knew what that looked like. So that's why it's frustrating. With Quickley, what's frustrating is you got samples of him with all these different combinations, and they were all super, super positive. And you can talk to me about Brunson and him are too small. And yeah, I do think that if you play Boston, IQ and Brunson without the necessary wing and size next to them at the 3 and a Mitch caliber defender at the 5, yeah, all that stuff would be problematic. But you're not playing the fucking Boston Celtics every night. You're not playing the Milwaukee Bucks every night. You're not playing championship contenders every night. You have to get to the stage to beat championship contenders. And they never really explored what the ceiling of that team was. They never gave themselves a chance to see, okay, you know what? Let's just start Brunson and Quickley. Let's see what's good about this, what's bad about this, and let's see if it's worth making a move to mitigate the weaknesses that exist with that backcourt pairing and accentuate the strengths, or at least consider what that would look like and consider what the ceiling of that team was. They just never explored the stuff with Quickley, which is what makes it frustrating to me. And that's just what it is. But I really don't want to talk about I feel like we spent so much time talking about Quickley and stuff like that. So it's what it is.
Would you prefer giving up fewer assets for DeJounte Murray or more for Donovan Mitchell? Or is there another guard out there you'd like to target?
Is there another guard I'd like out there? Yeah, I'd like to target fucking Steph Curry.
Well, Devin Booker's the dream, right?
That's not happening, man.
I think not happening. There's too much.
Yeah, it's just, come on. I know that everything in Phoenix looks. I mean, I don't think they're a contender. I don't think they're a contender coming into the season. Call me Nostradamus. No, don't do that, because I also was like, they're never trading Quickley, which is honestly probably me just being a fan of Quickley and not wanting to see him on another team. But Booker, like they went all in on this team. New owners don't trade their shiny toys right when they get there. Like, it just doesn't happen. They're going to give this more time. They're going to keep Booker through at least next season. And even if he asks that, like, even if Devin Booker goes in there tomorrow and is like, I demand a trade, they're going to be like, cool, bro, you got a 4-year extension kicking in after this year. Kick rocks. It's not going to happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Is there another guard? I would be, again, this would be really funny because it's another small guard. I would be not uninterested in Anthony Simons.
Shut the fuck.
What? Anthony Simons?
Anthony Simons?
He's
good. He's good. I'm not saying he's not good, but like Brunson and Anthony Simons is like not tenable. I'm sorry.
Maybe. I mean, you're right. And we should never try things. So that's a good point.
I mean, we shouldn't try Anthony freaking Simons.
Why? He's a hooper.
All right, Baldwin, stop.
I mean, that's like honestly what I think most. If Quickley averaged 25 points per game or something, like, I think people would be like, oh yeah, you can start him and Brunson together. Think about the firepower. But because he's not wired to just be a scorer, it's different. But whatever. I don't want to get, again, let's just move on. Yeah, Rokas. Yeah. Hey, actually, Rokas. Hey, we got an opening now, Rokas. You want to come over?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's a legitimate possibility now. You buy him out of his contract, you get him locked up for a couple of years. Why not?
No, Anthony Simons is kind of a joke, but like, I don't know. The thing is, I really believe that now they have to go get an actual star level player. And while I don't think Donovan Mitchell I don't like him as much as a lot of people. He's kind of like, I don't want to say he's there for the taking, but like he kind of is there for the taking.
He's there for the taking. He's there for the taking.
Yeah. So I don't know. Would I want him or Murray? I'd much rather have Mitchell than Murray, but like, I do think there's a chance Cleveland's just like, we're not trading Murray or Mitchell right now. And the Knicks, I think Atlanta is going to trade DeJounte Murray. And because they're going to trade DeJounte Murray, the Knicks probably can get him for much less than what he got traded to Atlanta for.
He absolutely is. Like, the value that DeJounte Murray has right now is shot. Like, who realistically wants that, can fit it, and has the salary for it? The Knicks have the salary for it. The Knicks have the means to get him. I would market it as well, but like that means OG's playing the 2.
Yeah, that'd be a weird team. Hey, we'd satiate Randall or Tom's
need for
want
size.
for size. Yeah.
I mean, but like, yeah, I think this all roads lead to Donovan Mitchell. That's kind of how I feel. Even if they do like the whole like DeJounte fake thing, they give him like the Bucks first or whatever, the Bucks first and the Pistons first, and you get DeJounte Murray. I don't really think a team is beating that unless the Lakers want to throw in their 2029 unprotected first, in which case then like no asset is beating that. Sorry. But I think DeJounte's there for the taking. They can trade DeJounte, and then like you go to the negotiate table with Cleveland in 6 months, and you're like, hey, here's DeJounte Murray and DiVincenzo for Donovan Mitchell. Let's dance.
Yeah,
also, DeJounte Murray doesn't play defense. Stop saying that now. DeJounte Murray does not play defense. DeJounte Murray gets steals. And he gets Instagram likes because of his story. That's it.
I don't think you can have both the perspectives that you have about Anunoby and Murray. Like, I mean, look, I'm not going to act like it's the end all be all, but I'm pretty sure EPM likes Murray's defense more than OG's this season.
EPM is a dirty liar.
No, it doesn't. OG is a little bit higher. DeJounte's in the 75th percentile. I mean, DeJounte's been fine this year. And he's shooting 38% from 3, weirdly. I don't know. I mean, I saw the Kevin O'Connor clip blow up on Twitter yesterday of him just completely losing De'Aaron Fox. It would be kind of amusing if, the Knicks get a guy like that and all of a sudden, things don't just magically work out and people start paying attention to things like off-ball defensive impact. And it's like, oh, where could we find someone who could help in those ways? It's like, oh, shit. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, EPM likes Murray more than OG. Not that that's a comparison. I don't really get why Atlanta is as bad as they are. I guess they've been missing Jalen Johnson, but they should be better. I mean, Schwinn said it last night. They're definitely underperforming based on their talent right now.
They're not that talented.
The Knicks should go after Markkanen from the Jazz. I would have loved to get Markkanen. I don't think that is going to happen.
Possible. Yeah, it's not possible anymore. Because you can't put OG at the 2.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
All right. I mean, we're reaching. Do you guys have anything? Is there any other angle of this we need to cover? It's been almost 2.5 hours again. Saturday.
Me and Jeff I have to do so much today. I have to get
So
prepared
many
to watch the
plans.
Knicks play at 7.
Yeah, the playback will be great. I might have to hop on that. We'll see.
I just really I don't know. Like I don't want to say today's a sad day for Knicks fans, but I do think today is a day that like
It's the greatest day in Knicks history. RJ Barrett is finally off the team. This is the day I've waited for 5 years. Okay, I am. Leon Rojos! Woo!
okay. I think it's a day though that the Knicks started putting their chips onto the table. They're starting to play real hands right now. So they are now operating like a big boy team and not just like we're trying to build something here team. So I don't know. We'll see. This is what I think. I think Quickley is the best player in this deal. You can quote me on that.
I agree.
And I think he will. I think they so low on him. I don't know that they'll necessarily regret it because Jalen Brunson's awesome, and that's what it is. And if you think Quickley and Brunson was not a viable backcourt together and weren't interested in trying it, then sure, trade him. I just think that's a really big miscalculation on their part. And if they were going to include Quickley in the deal, I would have saved him for somebody who is a lot more consequential than OG, even if it meant that you had to include some picks for OG. But maybe Toronto wouldn't have done the deal without Quickley. And maybe they think, for all we know, Philly, maybe they were close to coming to terms to a deal with Toronto for OG, and Toronto was like, "Hey, give us Quick, and this is a done deal." And maybe that's what it was. But yeah, the Knicks, hey, they put on their big boy pants now, so it's time to start making big boy moves. And
Because I know hoops. Why do Tyrus agendas always win? I know ball.
Wasn't your agenda that we should get Donovan Mitchell a couple years ago and that he was awesome and we should do whatever?
Shit, we're back on that, and it's probably going to happen too.
Yeah.
I really actually always win. It's hilarious.
Yeah, well, you can start running victory laps when Randall gets his shit together in the playoffs. If
that happens,
that's your Waterloo.
If that happens, I come on the timeline like John Wick, and everybody's going to be getting it. Omar coming? You haven't seen shit yet.
Right, this David Goodman, Raptors won this trade, and it isn't even close. I mean, I think this is very obviously a win for them. Like, I don't even think that's a debate, really. I guess it depends. Like, if you think the RJ contract is just like a thing that is going to hamper them, but it looks like they're moving into a rebuild, so it probably doesn't even really matter. Yeah, I think this is a pretty obvious win for the Raptors. I think this can be a win for the Knicks. It just depends on their next move. It has to be a real consequential piece. It can't just be like this team as is and we're running that and we'll wait for some fucking thing down the line. Like, I think that's bullshit.
One angle of this we haven't covered yet is Quickley definitely going to be a Raptor next season.
Yes.
Definitely.
They're trading Siakam. They're going to extend
100%. They traded him clearly. They traded for him because, like, you don't make this trade unless you're keeping Quickley. Otherwise, it's a fucking disaster.
The question is, how long is RJ Barrett going to be a Raptor more than Quickley?
Okay.
Um,
I'm just thinking if there's a world where, like, for whatever reason, I'm just trying to think of a world where, like, another team just throws Quickley the bag and the Raptors don't match, but I guess that probably doesn't exist.
yeah, I think once you get the RFA rights, they'll spend the next fucking 5 months signaling how much they love Quickley. They're so thrilled they got him in this trade, which they probably are thrilled they got him in this trade. I mean, they had to be. That's why they did the fucking trade. And they will talk about how they'll match any offer, and they're willing to pay him $65 bajillion. And I'm sure again, just like the Knicks made this trade because they have an understanding. I'm sure they have an understanding of what they are and will be able to sign OG for. I'm sure the Raptors have an understanding of what Emmanuel Quickley wants and how viable that is for them and their willingness to do it.
Okay.
This is the Hart trade 2.0. I don't fully get it. I guess you're talking about re-signing him, like that. It's obviously going to happen. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I agree. If that's what you're driving at, then yes, I agree. I don't know if I don't think it'll have that impact.
Yeah.
The schedule opens up. It's pretty nice. I mean, I'm looking at the Knicks schedule. A lot of winnable games. So, I mean, you got the All-Star break, February 15th through that week. I mean, hopefully the Knicks are really not flirting with the plan, and hopefully they've distanced themselves from that conversation, because you gotta go win games now. They've got their draft picks, and that's pretty much it. They don't really have assets they're going to look to flip anymore, besides Grimes. But Grimes value.
I don't even think you can trade Grimes now, unless it's for a natural star. Like, what the fuck are you trading Grimes for?
I mean, they'll probably keep Grimes. Like, I think the nucleus of Grimes, OG, Hart, and to like a lesser extent, guys like Hartenstein and DiVincenzo defensively, like, I don't think they can keep that up, especially if they're going to get Donovan Mitchell, which I feel like, again, all roads lead to Spida. So,
yeah,
but until they
make
their offense is going
to let's just play this out. Let's say that they trade. What would the Spider trade be? It would be, let's just say it's 48.
Robinson.
Why would the fuck would the Cavs want Robinson?
I mean, it's just matching stuff. If you're talking about at the deadline,
DiVincenzo. Well, can we stop acting DiVincenzo is an untouchable fucking piece? Why? Why is he an untouchable piece? Why? Can we stop this? Like, I'm sorry. If you want to, I'm not saying you, but there are people like, oh, stop being like, just don't be emotional about it. Okay, then if that's the case, then can we stop acting like we have to fucking surround Jalen Brunson with all of his best buddies or he's going to fucking cry about it? Like, Dante DiVincenzo is not some untouchable fucking piece. He is Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay.
Are you fucking kidding me? And Donovan Mitchell is one of his good buddies, right? So who fucking cares? DiVincenzo can go on the fucking trade. I'm not trading Mitchell Robinson, who actually fucking matters, because we don't want to trade Jalen Brunson's good buddy. Which, if that is their logic, that is fucking insane, which I desperately hope that is not their logic. If you trade out Dante DiVincenzo, that is fine. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Fuck off.
Okay. Sorry.
If you trade Fournier and DiVincenzo, that's enough. Salary. Give up all the picks. Fine. What is that team? Is that team a contender?
I mean,
which team? Sorry, Tyrese, you answer, but what I'm trying to fully understand the context here. What team a contender?
Brunson, Mitchell, OG, Randall, Mitch. Well, say everybody's healthy. Brunson, OG, Donovan, Randall, Mitch, and then your bench is Grimes, Deuce, Hart, and Hartenstein.
I mean, it's definitely the definition of like diminishing returns and being less than the sum of your whole, or the whole being less than the sum of its parts. Excuse me.
I mean, I think that team is probably like in the conversation with Milwaukee. That's like that's a nuclear offense. To be honest, like Brunson, Mitchell, Randall to a lesser extent, not on the tier of those guys. Okay, the Randall that plays this way, Probably. Like, that's 3 around 60 true shooting dudes. You have another 60 true shooting dude like OG who shores up the defense. It would have to take. What is Donovan Mitchell's defensive EPM?
It is. I can tell you. It is. He's been positive this year, plus 0.7, 79th percentile. That's surprising. Good for him.
Yeah. So, there's a lot more juice there than I think a lot of us probably think at the time. Am I saying I would be the biggest fan of it? No. But also, like, from the Knicks perspective, you have the big wing. You could pivot off Randall if you need to. Like, you have options to upgrade the team, even if they trade away, like, 2 unprotected first-round picks. And again, I think they fully enshrine themselves in that top 3 of, like, Boston, Milwaukee, to a lesser extent, Philly. Actually, probably Miami there. I think they're, like, right there with Philly as, like, maybe the 4th best team in the conference, assuredly.
Yeah, I have to assume the talent would be enough that it wouldn't matter if they weren't, reaching the ceiling of their individual parts. There's just so much talent there in that starting lineup.
Yep.
It would be pretty ridiculous if they underachieved to the point where they weren't near the top of the conference.
The Knicks have never shown a single sign that they would pivot for Randall. The Knicks would never have been as talented as they are now. If they were to make that trade, then, like, hell, that would be the most talented Knicks roster ever. Aside from maybe, like, the 73 championship. Like, yeah, it's easier to pivot off Randall when you have 2 25-point-per-game guys in the backcourt and a big wing.
Did you just say the Knicks are more talented than teams that went to the NBA Finals?
I mean, given whatever. I wasn't around for those times.
But you then just referenced the 73 Knicks. They're the most talented Knicks team of this
Arguably
since 2000.
Okay.
I'm not. Get the fuck out of here. They don't even have a surefire Hall of Famer on this team. Get the fuck out of here. They're fucking more talented than the 90s Knicks. Fuck off, dude.
Look at Phoenix, bro. Phoenix doesn't have defense. That's the whole point. The Knicks wouldn't be Phoenix.
No, but I think he's saying
yes, but
he's saying what Schwinn has been talking about. You can't just throw stars together and assume it'll work.
But the whole thing is, like, there's diminishing returns on Phoenix's stars because they all kind of there's Bradley.
And there wouldn't be if the Knicks got Mitchell?
Yeah, but it would be mitigated by the fact they have OG freaking Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson. And also defensive players coming off the bench.
The Suns have Kevin Durant.
Yes, I'm not saying the Suns have Kevin Durant. Who on that team plays defense? They're starting Yusuf Nurkic. The course with Yusuf Nurkic at backup at starting center. That entire lineup.
I'm not here for Nurkic slander. Nurkic has been really good this year.
Okay, but, like, my point stands. Like, you're running out Yuta Watanabe and Josh Okogie.
Yeah, their bench sucks. That's the reason they suck. Their bench sucks. They have no depth, and with Beal hurt, they're playing bad players. But, like, Nurkic is in the 94th percentile in defensive EPM. Like, Nurkic has been really good. And Booker, Durant, and Nurkic is, like, a pretty synergetic trio. The problem is that the guys in between are basically, like, even with Grayson Allen shooting close to 50% from 3, he doesn't really offer much defensively. And he's probably their 4th best player right now with Beal hurt. They were just always going to be light. But in my opinion, the fit isn't the problem. If the Knicks got Mitchell and paired him with Jalen Brunson and they have Julius Randle, I don't know if OG Anunoby himself is mitigating the fact that there's only one ball and, Donovan Mitchell becomes your 2nd best defender outside of your center. I think those would be true fit concerns.
Yeah, I just think that, like, you can't the defense can't be, like, it can't be, oh, we get Mitchell, and then it's like it's the Jon Snow meme with like OG and Mitch together. Like that can't be, like, to me, that's not what makes this. Why are the Celtics so good right now? Why are they so good? Because all of their guys are two-way players. Their entire lineup is two-way players. Like Jaylen Brown is their worst defender, and his big sin is that he falls asleep off ball. But as an on-ball defender, he's good, like legit good. Derek White is an awesome defender. Drew Holiday, awesome defender, who is a two-way player in the regular season anyway. Jason Tatum, two-way player. Kristaps Porzingis, two-way player. Even Sam Hauser, I think, is actually underrated as a defender. I think he's fine defensively.
That's the most racist thing you've ever said to me.
Sam
Sam Hauser appreciation? Okay, I don't love him when they're in Boston.
Okay.
If Sam Hauser was anywhere else,
but that's 5-6 guys right there. They're two-way players on their roster. Al Horford is a two-way player, so it's 6-7 guys. Like,
Yeah,
that's why they're dominant. That's why they are the championship favorite right now. And that's like, you cannot go to war against that team and be like, we have to cover for 2 minuses in the backcourt who are undersized. We have to cover for the fact that Julius Randle's defensive effort is wishy-washy. I'm sorry. Like, Donovan Mitchell, I get it. I just don't. I really don't believe in that team. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think like it'll be fun and they'll probably win a lot of games and maybe they'll make it to a conference finals. But I still think they're not beating Boston. I don't think they're beating Milwaukee.
And to go along with Schwinn's point about Boston's all the two-way players they have, they're also incredibly like fungible players in how they provide their impact. They're not all very predicated on doing one main thing. And so like there's not a lot of diminishing returns on that roster. There's definitely not redundancy, and if Tatum's scoring, the other guys will figure out other ways to impact, yada yada yada. You think about that Knicks team, their 3 best players have a lot of overlap in how they create impact for a team. And that would be an adjustment period, to say the least, for those guys. Could they figure it out? You'd like to think so, but it's not like written in stone by any means.
Yeah. I don't know. This is where the problem is with like why I personally think they should have saved Quickley in the trade if they wanted to do this and put in picks. Again, I don't know if that was possible. So if they viewed like OG as this guy is exactly what we need in the sense of having a big wing defender, maybe that was worth it to them. If they could have done the deal, let's say you had to give up, I don't know, pick in 2025 and 2027 to get OG Anunoby instead of Quickley, I would have done that because I think if you pay Quickley this offseason, he can be the major player salary going out as a legitimate piece for a star creator. And I think you still have time to make that move and wait for a guy like a Devin Booker to maybe come available in, 2025. And the type of guy that I think it actually, like your balance and all that stuff would be like, because I think Booker is a pretty underrated defender. I think he's a pretty solid defender, actually. And obviously a really great, talented offensive player. Like that to me, I don't know if you like, and look, things can change, right? Boston's not going to stay static forever either. Maybe Drew falls off a cliff. Who the fuck knows what can happen? But like, I think that team could compete against this version of the Celtics. I don't know if they wouldn't be the favorite. I don't know if they'd win, but I think they could win. I don't think you can win if Donovan Mitchell is the guy next to Jalen Brunson because he's not as good offensively. He's not a top 10. What is Donovan Mitchell as just a pure offensive player in the league? Is he a top 10 guy?
10 seems a bit high, but it's close.
Let's say he's 10. Is that fine? Can we just say he's 10 and be done with it?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. He's the 10th best offensive player in the league. Jalen Brunson is what? Like the 17th. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers here. What do you think Brunson is?
I think he's top 15 or around 15, so 17th is totally reasonable.
Okay, so let's say 15. Let's say 15. Say the 10th and 15th best offensive players in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
What, like, now compare that to like what Boston has. I don't know what those guys rank individually offensively, but they clearly have more offensive firepower than the Knicks still would with Brunson, Donovan, Randall. I think that's still pretty obvious. And they're clearly better defensively. Like, that's not even close. So I don't see it. Like, maybe if we had Spoelstra as our coach, I probably am like, yeah, fucking let's do it. Let's get it going here. But we don't. We have Tibbs as our coach. And like, I mean, look.
So can I play a little devil's advocate here? I mean, of course, Spoelstra is a genius and he's the best coach in the league. But we've already talked on this pod on this live stream or whatever about how the decisions from a rotation standpoint are pretty easy. And, say what you want about Tibbs, but you give him offense first, defense light guys who will try. This is why Randall try consistently. He's going to get them to play some semblance of defense. So, like, isn't a team with naturally skilled offensive creators who won't be hindered by the shackles of a pretty vanilla offensive scheme, and then defense like guys, isn't pairing those types of guys with a guy like Tibbs pretty ideal? Don't have to worry about the rotation. Don't have to worry about lineup versatility. Don't have to worry about maximizing their offense. They'll do it just by putting the ball in their hands and letting them go to work. All you have to worry about is finding a way to carve together a passable defense. So, like, that sounds like a pretty ideal roster for a Tom Thibodeau-like head coach, no?
I guess.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's fair. I just, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll say this. The good thing about this trade, I don't want to hear any excuses now for Tom Thibodeau for anything. Nothing. I don't want to fucking hear anything. Oh, the Knicks didn't get him this. They don't have that. Fuck off. Fuck off. The Knicks have given him every fucking archetype of player that he jerks off to when he watches film 3 times a day. Okay? They gave him a star point guard. They gave him a big wing defender. They gave him a monster rebounding guard wing hybrid thing in Josh Hart. They gave him a star power forward. They gave him his rim running fives that he loves so dearly. They gave him they gave him 2 low usage spot up shooting guards who can defend in Grimes and DiVincenzo. They've given him everything he apparently requires to win at a high level. So go fucking do it. Go fucking do it. He got all these excuses during that Miami series last year. I wasn't interested in them then. You go play Miami now. I don't want to fucking hear anything. I don't want to hear a fucking thing. I don't want to hear about, they have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. They're better than who the Knicks have. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. Because so many Knicks fans have been telling me OG Anunoby is this big game changer, right? Okay, you got him. So let's put some standards on what Tom Thibodeau needs to achieve too now. Let's put some standards on it, because this continues to be the most talented version of the Knicks they have had in forever. He needs to make shit happen. He does not get to play the I don't have this card, I don't have that card, woe is me, and have his sycophants like fucking bald loser Berman in Florida fucking spouting off that shit and acting like he's a victim. He's not a victim, okay? He's not a victim. They got him everything he wants, and they're going to get him more. They're going to get him more. I'm saying they have to do it. I will be shocked if they don't make a big time move again before the deadline. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens much before that. It would not surprise me in the slightest.
It's already starting, Schwinn. Some guy pops up on my timeline with apparently a pretty big following. Quickly shooting 40% on catch and shoot threes and 41% on pull up threes. Good positional size. The advanced metrics love him. Underutilized around bigger stars. I'm not saying it's going to this level, but there's a whiff of young Harden or SGA potential here. Ugh.
Yeah. Imagine he gets voted for 6th man of the year if he comes off the bench. What were we missing last year? I don't know.
It took an hour, Tyrese. It took an hour, and people are already, oh, you know what? Quickley actually is good.
It'll hurt seeing him at the All-Star game. It'll hurt.
I don't even want to think about it. I really, actually makes me a little sick. I think he's super undervalued, and I think Toronto got the best part of the deal. It's on the Knicks to make the necessary moves to supplement what they've done, so that we can be happy for him and not want to shoot ourselves in the face every time we see him play.
Yep. Yeah. I think that'll do it. No, or are we 2 hours and 40 minutes? Is that enough? Have we covered this enough, or is there more?
For now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about it, I'm sure, plenty in the next 15 fucking days and weeks and months and years. So sure. Yeah, it's enough.
All right. Well, I just want to
we can just read this last thing. Cats, here are the players the Knicks will have available tonight against Pistons: Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Randall, Hartenstein, Deuce, Taj, Evan Fournier. Grimes is out because he's sick or something.
He's questionable. I don't know if he's out yet.
What a loser. Get fucking be fucking like, come on, dude. Just sack up here and let's get on the floor. Team needs you. By the way, if anybody, please give us a follow on sign up and give us a follow on playback. We will be watching the game, me and Zach. So we will be watching the game. We will be probably talking about this again. So, okay. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, we're good. No, I was thinking about a way to respond, and I don't know. I just want to thank everyone for tapping in again. 2 hours and 40 minutes is crazy. Like, that's just so cool that y'all stuck with us and want to hear our thoughts and interacted with us. Tried to get to as many comments as possible. If you could, like and subscribe our videos. We're on the road to 1,000, super close. And we'll be back again. We've got, like Schwinn just said, we've got the playback with Zach, and then we'll have the post game with me and Tyrese. Tyrese, will you be here tonight?
Yeah, I will.
All right, so you'll have me and Tyrese, and maybe Schwinn if he wants to get on a camera again, maybe not. But thanks to everyone, and yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you later tonight. Go Knicks.